Welcome back to another edition of the Rodcast. It is the Hump Day edition of the Rodcast, which means we are creeping closer and closer to the start of the NFL season. So we'll talk a little bit more NFL. We'll start getting you primed and ready for the start of the NFL season. Actually, got some NFL headlines to get to. Trent Williams is back with the San Francisco 49ers after his brief holdout. He got his bag, but the reason that he came back to the 49ers apparently was not all about the money. We'll get into that because it's also another story we have not yet addressed. The Ricky Pearsall story for the 49ers also is a fascinating one. They got a lot of stuff going on. 49ers, have you noticed that? It's just like, my man Shadow's hanging out with Rick Ross. You got players getting shot and robbed, and you got, Trent Williams holding out. You got Brandon Ayuk holding out. A lot of drama with the 49ers. It might be a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing. It's for the culture. Sometimes, some of that drama brings you together. You know that when your family has a lot of drama, that's when the family comes together. You got people coming together when you got drama, when you got, a little bit, some tragedy, everybody comes together. Maybe that's what's happening with the 49ers. I have no idea. We'll get into it. Okay? We'll talk about that a little bit. We also talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones has all but admitted that the loss to the Green Bay Packers is the reason that Mike McCarthy is a lame duck coach. He had another quote. He's kind of saying the quiet part out loud. We'll get to that. Also, the latest reports on the contract negotiations between the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. There is now a new report out there about the potential timeline of this thing. So we'll get to that. Talk some Dallas Cowboys on the show. We'll also get into some, of course, college football. We'll go behind the burnt orange curtain next segment. We'll continue to preview the Texas versus Michigan game. It's a huge game. Yesterday, I got into what I thought was going to be a big factor is how Quinn handles the pressure, inevitably, that pressure that Don Wink Martindale is going to bring, who's the defensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines. But now I'll get into the other side of the ball. I'll talk about defensively something that Texas has to stop and something that Texas will have to be effective at in this game versus Michigan to pull out the victory on the road in the Big House. So we'll get into that when we go behind the burnt orange curtain, dive into some of those details. We'll also have all your usual favorites, Raj Rant. We'll get into who said that, what the facts, what the stats off the record. We got the topic for the big fat poll of the day. And Shuli's going to drop in for Setlist ATX. That's coming up in 9 o'clock. So we're loaded as usual. Before we do any of that, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew because he's one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. Not sure what he's paid, but I'm pretty damn sure the man is underpaid. Ain't no 401k for this hustler. And he's a hustle man of many talents. It's our friend, co-host, and neighbor. It's Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, Patrick? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. We are a day away from the NFL. Starts tomorrow. Excited about that. Again, getting most things wrapped up off season wise. Just a few loose ends to see if any of that gets handled. Everyone
seems to be. Oh, the Jamar Chase thing is still a little weird.
Jamar Chase thing is still hanging in the air.
Weird. Oh yeah, we got a Jamar Chase update. Actually, we'll get into that too.
Yeah, we got one of those. Jamar Chase update.
It's kind of a weird update. It's just
And then Hassan Reddick, I believe, is still holding out from the Jets.
What that one's
that one's still. I don't get why the Jets traded for someone that they didn't want to re-sign.
Yeah,
like this guy clearly won a new contract. That's the only reason he was traded.
It's a jet. For the Jets, though, it's not surprising.
It's on brand.
It's the Jets. There you go. There you go. It tracks. It's the Jets.
Yeah. So they did that one, and then then of course the Dak contract hangover.
We got an update on that, and I still don't. Apparently, there are some people saying that the main kind of issue right now in the negotiation that's keeping them from coming to and ultimately to resolving the issue is it's a long-term versus short-term. One side wants a longer-term deal, one side wants a shorter-term deal, and apparently that's one of the big hang-ups, and not the money. Yeah, because the money is, like I said, the money is the money. He's going to be paid upwards of $60 million.
And I mean, when you talk about when it's that much, it like the little bit of it in between seems less.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Like I said, I'm a little. I think people are surprised about which side wants the longer.
I mean, the difference between $1 and $2 million is a lot. The difference between $60 million and $61 million seems less. Even though I know it's just $1 million each, but it seems less at that much. So it's like wherever
the CD deal was reportedly
it was, but that also got done.
It got done, but apparently the Cowboys it was over like $2 million. per
Yeah.
year that they were haggling over because
Yeah.
because basically CD's camp said they never wavered in their number.
Yeah.
They never went. They stayed at the same number the entire negotiation. Well, at least that's the report. They stayed at the same number the entire negotiation, and the Cowboys were the ones that finally got to the CeeDee Lamb number.
They just had to watch a couple more leaves
30?
fall, right? That's all they had to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
Take
we'll
that
see.
ball all the way to the sideline. How many other analogies can we get into this?
The option, baby. The option.
He's an option quarterback. Let me introduce my co-host. He's a proud alumni of DBU. He's got more papers than Dunder Mifflin and watches more film than Siskel and Ebert. Here's the new Rod Father of Austin Sports Radio, Mr. Rod Babers.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and we'll get into, of course, Texas, Michigan. We've been talking about it all week, and we'll continue to break it down. I want to look on the offensive side for Michigan versus the Texas defense. To me, simply, I would force them to have to beat me with those quarterbacks. Any one of those quarterbacks.
Yep.
I think the game plan defensively is pretty simple. Force the quarterbacks to beat you.
Yeah.
Not the Michigan run game. It's really just comes down to that. And I think there are a number of ways to do it, but you got to trust your DBs that they can hold up on an island, and that ultimately those guys won't get beat over the top and they won't give up any big plays. You can give up some plays, but giving up the big play will hurt you. But Michigan, we'll go through some of the numbers. That passing game is pretty, I don't call it mediocre. It's just it looks to be an average to below average passing game, but that's not what they want to do. It's like Colorado State. Colorado State doesn't want to beat you running the ball. So Texas took away their strength and said, all right, you can we'll give you some of the run, but we'll take away the pass.
Their passing game didn't look great last year, and that's with a quarterback that went in the first round.
That's true. So I don't want to sound cocky and arrogant, but that's exactly.
It. So it's like they had talent at quarterback last year, and they still didn't have a great passing game. That offense just isn't designed to be a great passing game.
Yeah, it's not built that way. Yeah. Exactly. That's not something they want to specialize in.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why you could say, well, you had this great quarterback, and it almost worked.
You went like a half of a game without even throwing the ball. Like, you know what I mean? Because you decided, nah, man, we're just gonna lean on the run. So yes, that's a great point, Patrick. I totally agree with you. So getting to that, if you're Texas, I think you once again take away their strengths. I think that may be the theme of this new defense. That they're gonna identify it's very Belichickian in that way. Identify your strength, take it away. At least that's what they did to Colorado State. Colorado State, a top 20 passing team. I gotta go look and see how often they had more rushing yards than passing yards.
Yeah,
because it can't be very often.
No, and I mean
because their rushing offense was they were bottom 20 rushing offense. They were 120th, 125th in the country at rushing last season, but a top 20 passing team. That's what they want to do. Got an NFL caliber wide receiver, and Texas was able to take away that strength and basically said, "Beat me left-handed. Can you do it?" And by who I think Justin Marshall's actually a good player. I think we're gonna look up that running back for college. I think we'll look up at the end of the season. He stays healthy, and we'll be like, "Oh, man, that guy was a good player." But I like that theme. Like I said, maybe early on it. Take away their strengths, and we'll see in the Michigan game because it's pretty obvious what their strength is. They're not trying to hide it.
Well, that's the question is we know can Texas D-line take away their strength?
That's exactly right.
And that becomes the question is because we haven't seen that yet. We've had one game, and that wasn't what we were trying to stop.
You don't exactly. That's why some people was like, "Oh, they got 100-yard rush." I was like, they weren't trying to. That's not really what their focus was. The focus wasn't that. But that's a great point, though, and we don't. This is something that they have decided they decide to piecemeal, right? With the interior D line. I think we all trust the edges are going to be pretty effective.
Yeah.
And I just think they're really deep and really talented. There are a lot of unproven commodities inside.
And I mean,
Collins, Vernon Bryden, I think they'll step up. That has been the tradition the last 2 years at that position. But then bringing in Lole, bringing in Savea, bringing in Bill Norton, how those guys impact that rotation because you're going to need some depth there. That's going to be
and your linebacker depth as well. Guys coming up that we know that we have Benda and Anthony Hill that are going to do really well in it. But once we start to get down into we're going to be playing more and more linebackers to shore up that run game. How deep can you go where those guys are going to be making impactful plays? And even if the defensive line there is a hole, the big run doesn't break. That's a great. What you're going to play more base anyway. Exactly. We'll get into this in detail, but you're going to play more base, less sub packages, which means more of your just 4 DBs on the field. If more 4 DB, some people call it 40 personnel, but base
four DBs on the field, which means, especially either 3 linebackers, you can go to 3-4, or you can go to 4-3.
Yeah.
For Texas in either way, and that means you need to figure out who your third linebacker is, which I'm not sure we know. Is it Mo Blackwell? Is it Leon Lafau?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're sure about that.
I guarantee you, Michigan's going to be trying to find out though.
Yes, no doubt. Oh no. And honestly, you're going to need probably 4 because you got, knock on wood, you got, it's going to be a really physical game.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might, get nicked up, whatever. You need to make sure you're 4 or 5 deep there. And I like Leon Lafau, and I like Mo Blackwell. Mo Blackwell's kind of a hybrid guy. Remember, play safety. I wonder how he matches up in this game with such a physical brand of football. But all right, a lot of questions that we'll try to answer as many of them as we can. And we'll go behind the Burners curtain. I'll tell you what my second biggest kind of factor, my second biggest impact factor is going to be in this matchup. We'll talk about that when we go behind the Burners curtain next segment. All right, before we talk NFL, and we'll get you updated on some of the big stories and headlines going into the start of the NFL season. Let's get updated. Real quick. I did it. I canceled the cable.
You made the switch
yesterday. I got YouTube TV on right now.
All right.
I switched over.
You figured
everybody
it out?
out there, everybody. What'd you say?
Are you figuring it out? You getting used to it?
Yeah. That's where I gotta work on that. Yeah, like how to basically navigate it in the user interface and all that.
Yeah.
I'll figure that out. Yeah, because everybody's got like a different remote because of whatever your smart TV is.
No, I know that's one of the problems I have is depending on what remote I'm using. Like the one in my room is it just goes, well, just hit this to go back to their channel. And I'm like, I don't have that button.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I guess what I got to figure out, because as a man, me and are big about remotes. We know I got to know how to manipulate our remotes, man. That's big, right? You got to know how to move. And so I haven't figured that out, and that's a little tricky.
Yeah.
Trust me. I told my wife, I was like, I'll figure. Give me a couple of days.
Oh,
I'll figure it out.
Did you go through and set your DVR? Did you start to go through and?
I did. I set it for the Texas games. I set it for Texas. I'm going to do it for the NFL tonight, probably. I'll do it for the NFL tonight. But yeah, man, I'm excited, and I know people out there. Some of y'all old school like me. Y'all been, with that company for. I think I was with UVerse like 10 years.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? It's done. I'm moving on, man. You guys have disappointed me for the last damn time. I'm going into the 21st century. I'll see y'all later.
I think the good news is you're not signing contracts with the newer ones. And so now if YouTube TV does lose something and you're like, all right, screw you, I'm going to Hulu or I'm going to you can just kind of jump around now.
Non-committal.
Yeah, you don't have to be as committal to it as, well, you have a 2-year contract. So you got to, or
we're in it. Yeah. No matter how bad my service is, you have to deal with it.
You're not buying into the no, man, it only costs $13. How is it only cost $13? We'll be making it up next year.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's going to cost you $1,000 a month next year.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, no, I did. I was frustrated. I told you guys yesterday. I was like, they tried to give me the okie doke when I called them on Monday. They were like, it's a holiday. And some of the offices were closed. And I was like, I think y'all trying to give me the runaround. So I called back, got it done. So all y'all out there know some of y'all are fearful that this thing may drag on. I don't know if it drags on or not, but either way, I think it's time.
Yeah,
it's time. It was time. So there you go. That's the update. All right, let's get you updated, informed, and educated on all the top stories today with my man Patrick Davis and the Horn Headlines.
All right, your Horn Headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. In the MLB, the Astros resumed their series with the Reds today, sending August AL Rookie of the Month Spencer Arrighetti to the mound. And Astros manager Joe Espada has stated that Kyle Tucker could finally return to play as early as today after being sidelined since June with a broken shin. The Rangers tied their series with the Yankees in dramatic fashion with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th, down by 1 with the bases loaded. Wyatt Langford became the first Ranger rookie in history to walk off a grand slam, winning the game 7-4. Nathan Eovaldi will try to close out the series with a win for the Rangers tonight. And in the NFL, Trent Williams ended his holdout with the 49ers. 49ers and Williams agreed on a restructured $82 million deal that will include $48 million guaranteed and $25 million signing bonus. Williams will now be the highest paid offensive lineman this season, making over $27 million. And in college football, the Week 2 AP poll was released, with Georgia still at number 1, followed by Ohio State, Texas at number 3, and Alabama. Notre Dame jumped 2 spots to 5, while Florida State becomes the 3rd team to go from top 10 preseason team to unranked in the first regular season poll since the rankings expanded to 25 in 1989. And that is your Horn Headlines.
All right, Patrick, appreciate the horn headlines there. All right, so we'll get to the Trent Williams because this story is connected, like honestly, directly connected to the Trent Williams story. So the 17-year-old suspect who shot Ricky Pearsall, the 49ers first round pick, who shot him in a robbery attempt that he was trying to steal a Rolex from him. He is actually now they said they're gonna charge him with like a slew of charges. He faces attempted murder, assault with a semi-automatic firearm, and attempted second degree robbery. And he's 17 years old too. And they were like that was a struggle for the gun when he tried to rob Ricky Pearsall, and Ricky Pearsall ended up getting shot too. Ricky Pearsall has already been released from the hospital. He was released Sunday from the hospital already. He's already out. He apparently even went to. There was a report that he went to the team facilities, but he's been placed on the non-football injury list after being shot in the chest. And they said the non-football injury list, by the way. So he's going to be out for at least 4 weeks while he recovers from the shoulder injury and from the shooting. But the belief and the plan is that he's going to play this year,
Yeah.
even after getting shot. His mom updated everyone on social media and said, quote, update on my baby boy. First and foremost, I want to thank God for protecting my baby boy. He's extremely lucky. God shielded him. He was shot in the chest and it exited out his back. Thanks be to God, it missed his vital organs. He is in good spirits right now. Life is so precious, my friends. Please love each other. My son was spared today by the grace of God. Please pray for my baby. Wow. Shot in the chest, went right through him, exited out his back in an attempted robbery. That's amazing. Missed that. Dude's a walking miracle. Dude's a straight up walking miracle, man. And so after that, which I'm sure the whole damn team's emotional after that. Trust, I've had a teammate unfortunately pass away, Cole Pittman, while the team was together, and it's tragic. I mean, and obviously this is a miracle, but that kind of tragedy, it does bring everybody together. I mean, it is indeed a brotherhood. So Trent Williams, he just signed his deal. Patrick just pointed that out in the update there. Apparently, this story struck him to the point where he felt compelled to come back with the team. Now, he did get his money. They agreed on the money and everything. But here's Trent Williams himself telling the media that the big part of him coming back was the Ricky Pearsall miracle.
Honestly, that to be real, I felt more compelled to come back after that than anything because you know I've never experienced that like in my playing career to have a teammate shot so to speak. So in my mind, I'm like, man, I just want to get back, get around the team. Like Ricky stood out to me because when I popped in for OTAs for 30 minutes, I was here. Um, he did like go out of his way to come and introduce himself to me, in which I was obviously we was gonna meet each other eventually. But I'm getting there. There's 90 guys on the team. I'm just walking out. I don't really know everybody just yet. So for him to come up and kind of introduce, and I just instantly felt his vibe, and could just feel he's such a genuine person. So soon as I seen that happen, I'm like, man, I just want to give back. I just want to be, a voice in his ear, let him know everything gonna be all right. I'll be there for the team. A lot of people probably hurt and confused about what happened and thinking that am I next, So I wanted to be around for that. But my message is just to realize you're a target, and this world is a hard place. It's a very, very, very harsh place, and I think sometimes we are shielded from reality. And, for better or worse, whatever the reason is, we can be. So just staying in the moment and realizing that your life is more important than anything that you can wake up and put on. So just always keep the eye out, man, and just know that there's people out here that don't really value human life. You just gotta be aware of that.
Boom. I just told you, like, hey, that potential tragedy brought them together, and that can happen, and that is a straight up miracle. It does. Do you remember was it Brian Robinson?
Yeah, she got
the
shot
running
2
back
years ago. Yeah,
that got shot a couple of years ago and ended up playing, and they they played the 50 Cent when he was coming out to the field. That Mini Men, which was pretty badass. They should do that for Ricky Pearsall too. I don't know, maybe you can find another song about somebody trying to shoot him. Maybe you can find a Tupac song or something. But maybe Many Men should be the song for dudes that they get shot, survive, and get introduced on the football field, becomes a thing. But wasn't it teens that tried to rob him too?
Yep,
16 and 14.
16 and 14-year-old, yeah.
Dude, that is, I don't know, that is wow. That's crazy. But I remember this in the league. I'll say this because and Trent's right about that. Trent Williams is right about that. And there are lots of stories like this in the league. When I was playing, they told us a story when I first got drafted by the Giants. Crazy story. Is why you gotta watch, flashing Rolexes and a lot of jewelry, that kind of stuff, unless you got an entourage. Why, rappers may flash it, but they got some dudes with them. They got a whole bunch of dudes with them that they're like, nah, we ain't messing with them, man. They look like they got some guys too that can actually operate on the wrong side of the law as well. Looks like they may be packing. That's why you operate a crew. A lot of football players, they don't necessarily roll that deep, and you can be a target. They said at one point that someone on the team, I won't even say the player because I don't want to put his name out there. He was going around the city and he was pretty flashy, and he was coming from a club, and they came out and dumped gasoline on him, and they basically had a lighter in front of him, and they were just like, just give me everything you got, I'm just gonna light you on fire. Crazy.
Yeah.
Like he just kind of do that and that story always struck me, and I was like, what? People that what? You're not even robbing at gunpoint now. You got to be a sick, sadistic mofo to do some stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, but it struck me, and that was like a story that they told young guys like, hey man, don't be flashy. It ain't worth it. Like they know you got it. Don't be flashing the cash. It's not worth it for you to, be rocked up with jewelry all on your wrist. It said you are a straight up target, man. They'll follow you. They'll come up with a strategy. They'll send women after. Oh, that's other stories. They told a story about at the rookie symposium about a dude who had gotten roofied in hotels with women. Thought they was about to have a threesome, and then end up getting roofied, and then they take compromising pictures of them doing stuff while they're out. Oh man, blew your boy's mind. I'm like, I knew some wild stuff was happening. This is some crazy stuff that you guys are. And they was like this. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but there are a lot of stories like that in the NFL of guys being, I'm sorry, just pro sports probably, of just guys being targets. So it ain't worth it flashing, especially in major cities like that. Like I played in Detroit. I played in, with the Giants, Chicago. Man, I played some places are concrete jungles. Like straight up. You don't want to be flashing in places like that, man. So that's the real. I do get that. And the Ricky Pearsall thing, I'm not saying he was being flashy, but they think they were trying to go after his Rolex. And that's still, those people are, people should be in jail, and they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But man, it ain't worth it making yourself a target. Not for them sick mofos like that, man. It ain't worth it.
No,
it really is not.
No, I mean that's just it's what we live in right now.
Yeah, it's crazy,
unfortunate, but people are going to see, if they feel life's not worth living for them, then they're going to try and get whatever they can, and whatever ends up happening at the end of the day, they don't care. So,
yeah. You're right. So that I'm just throwing out that as an NFL guy, I remember a lot of those stories, and so unfortunately, for Ricky Pearsall, that was another dude just trying to get his. He probably didn't even know. I wondered if he knew who Ricky Pearsall was, or if he just saw the Rolex. Like I wondered if he actually knew. Was he? You know what I mean? I wondered if that was something that he had prior knowledge of who he was, or if he was just I'm robbing this dude with the Rolex. Don't matter to me. Anyway, so that story, and so in addition to, now Trent Williams is back because he's now emotionally motivated and connected because he wants to be connected to the team. Brandon Ayuk also, he has now gotten his money, and he signed his contract after a holdout and got his extension done with the 49ers. He admitted too, so maybe there's something happening with the 49ers, man. Because he's now admitting, at least in this cut of audio, that he may have been the one that was being difficult toward the end of these negotiations. Here is Brandon Ayuk.
They were sounding very frustrated. But John said at that time that once things get done, it's like everything is forgotten. I don't know if you felt any Bruce feelings during this time, but is it true? Like once everything's done, you're like, I love y'all.
I think I'm not gonna lie. I made it a little bit more difficult than it needed to at the end. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was like that for me. I'm not gonna say the whole entire time, but for about the past month, I think we were pretty good.
All right, there you go. So Brandon Ayuk admitted, like, yeah, it's probably been a diva. He's a wide receiver. Wide receivers are divas, of course. But man, the 49ers, a lot going on, a lot of drama. I'm not sure if the drama is good or I think it might be pretty good for them. They've been accomplishing all this without the drama. They got to find some way to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs next time they get back to the Super Bowl, because that's probably who they're going to face. And maybe this is the way to do it. Shano hanging out with Rick Ross with the pimp cane, Ricky Pearsall surviving getting shot in the chest like he's 50 Cent or Tupac or somebody. Trent Williams now coming back. He said he's inspired because he wants to be around the team because he got emotional about the miracle that happened with Ricky Pearsall, and now Brandon Ayuk, a diva wide receiver, having contrition and humility and saying, "Yeah, it was me, man. It's I was kind of holding things up as being a diva." It's maybe something's happening with the 49ers, man. Good. Something is happening. I just don't know if it's good or bad. A lot of drama. They don't usually have this much drama, but it's a lot of drama.
Yeah, it is. It does feel like feels. I don't know if I'm on the optimistic side of this drama. Like,
I don't know if they're
like
cracking.
much more
Are
on
they
the
cracking?
other. I feel like this is everybody's sees that the door is closing and come get yours right now because there ain't gonna be nothing in a couple years.
Hey, they better win it now, man. I think, but I will say this is they seem like they're gonna be closer. I mean, Shannon's hanging out with Brandon Ayuk and Debo, with Rick Ross doing God knows what. I still don't know what was going on there. And Trent Williams obviously as an older guy now feeling closer to him. So maybe they bring some
always
closer.
You can be close there. It's at the end of the season when the other guy screws up. Are you close then? Are you close when you feel that guy cost you a game?
I think they're close. I just don't know if it matters when you're facing Patrick Mahomes. It's like you can have all these great stories, just like, well, we're facing Michael Jordan, so it'll have to be told at another time. So I think that's the unfortunate thing. Who's gonna topple the Chiefs is really to me that is the storyline of the season. Who the hell is going to stop the Kansas City Chiefs? Even if the Kansas City Chiefs get beaten in the regular season, okay, nobody believes in the playoffs that a team can beat them. Who has the best chance to do it? And does it have to be the 49ers when they get to the Super Bowl? Can somebody do it before then? Is it even possible? To me, that's the big question. Because they're going for 3, ladies and gentlemen. They're going for 3, which has never, ever happened in the Super Bowl era.
No,
3 in a row.
No, and that's what but that's the thing is the AFC is so stacked because of Patrick Mahomes. And like the NFC is you got to beat the 49ers, and so they keep winning. And so teams are kind of going up against the 49ers, not even really the Chiefs so much. In the AFC, everyone knows you have to get past the Chiefs. So you have the Bengals trying to load up. You have the Ravens trying to load up. You had the Bills that tried to, and then gave Xavier Worthy and is kind of the back end of that right now. You have the Texans now trying to load up. That whole AFC South pretty much tried to load up this offseason. Everyone's trying to go after it. The AFC is just loading up, and it feels like for me, it's like the Western Conference in basketball in the NBA, where it's like, well, these are the best teams, and they're all in this conference, so we have to now. This conference is getting more and more stacked.
Is it the Golden State run that kind of reflective of that?
It's been that. I mean, it's just it was that way because the Lakers were good, and then it's been that way for a while, and so it's interesting to see. But yeah, I'll say that I'm not sure that the 49ers, if it'll bring them back together and make them the one, but I still think they're got to be the favorite in the NFC. So
there's no doubt. Yeah, you got the Eagles maybe, but I mean, you can't say the Eagles are the close when people are concerned whether their coach is on the hot seat. So they got to resolve some issues first. Then you got the Packers are up and coming. Packers, but I think the Sean McVay and the Rams actually are a little bit underrated too in terms of. We thought there'd be a rebuild, and it's like I don't know if there's a rebuild. It looks like they're ready to go.
They're pushing. They're pushing right through.
Exactly. It's like the Aaron Donald era, everybody thought they would be recovering from the Aaron Donald era. It's like, no, I just think now they're a different team. They're not they don't have a dominant defensive player like that, but Rams are still going to be a playoff team. And if Sean McVay gets in the playoffs, he can make some noise. We all know that. So, okay. Oh, real quick. I know we got the behind the burnt orange curtain segment coming up, so we can wrap up our NFL segment. We'll get to the Cowboys a little bit later on. We'll get into that in Rod's round. We'll just make that our Cowboys segment. I'll give you the update on what Jerry Jones said in the Dak Prescott contract negotiations. Can we put up the Justin Jefferson sound with the K Adams? So I don't know if there is a substantial report, but this is Justin Jefferson talking to Kay Adams, and they are actually discussing. Like I said, maybe it's rumor, maybe there's a report that the Jamar Chase contract, at least his contract demands, may be that he wants 1 penny more than the Justin Jefferson. Like that's that is the rumor, is that, and they are talking about here. They addressed the actual rumor that Jamar Chase is negotiating for 1 penny more than one of his best friends and college teammate Justin Jefferson.
I haven't really talked to him about it too much, but I'm pretty sure or confident that he's gonna be about his business and show up when he needs to show up. And I hope that he gets the deal and hope that he gets the contract that he's looking for. But I also hope that he plays it smart and not let it get in the way of his greatness and being on that field.
It's really well said. Let's look ahead. He gets paid. He gets a penny more than you. What does the text to him say?
I'm not gonna say what I really want to say, but it's always congratulations. It's always love, especially on my end, about my brothers that is making good in this league and making a name for themselves. And we always talked about that. We always talked about it in the receiver room at LSU, and said that we were able to be on that same platform as some of the top guys that were in the league while we were watching the film at LSU. So to see it all come to life, and for us to fulfill our dreams is definitely heartwarming.
Crazy. I got to go back and track and see if that's ever happened. 2 players who played together in college end up being 1 and 2 in highest paid players at any position, actually, in the league. All right, good stuff there. Let's come back and we'll go behind the burnt orange curtain. I'll tell you the biggest, I would think, factor on the defensive side for Texas, the offensive side for Michigan. I think the biggest factor in who may be the team that ultimately wins this game, but I think the team that could have the most command, the most control of the game throughout it. And I think this matchup could determine it. So we'll get into it and talk about it on the other side when we go behind the burnt orange curtain right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Low and Rod Babers coming back on the horn. Okay. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into some Texas football conversation. Texas versus Michigan. Big game coming up this weekend. Let's talk about that Michigan offense, which is I'm going to call it one-dimensional. But they are a run-oriented, run-first offense. And Davis Warren, who is the quarterback they started against Fresno State, did not really show me that he has the ability to add verticality to that offense and throw it downfield. And maybe it's because they don't really have any vertical threats in the passing game, and maybe that could be it. But if you go look at it versus Fresno State, they were 1 of 5 throwing the football 10 plus yards, and one interception. That one completion versus Fresno State for 10 yards was a 10-yard out to Colston Loveland. Now, Colston Loveland is going to be a problem. Like, he is now, it's kind of like Colorado State. They only got really one weapon in the passing game, and it's Colston Loveland. It's the tight end. He'll be the first tight end drafted off the board. He might even end up being a first-round tight end. Like, he's that good. He's got a chance to. I don't know what he'll test like, but he's a beast. He had 8 receptions for 87 yards versus Fresno State. The rest of the team had 8 receptions for 34 yards. No, he was in the slot or out wide 50% of the time, and 50% of the time he was in line. They got to figure out a plan for him. Now, the good news is Texas has guys that they can move around. If he, just say he becomes a problem, he's matched up on a safety and he's, winning those one-on-one battles against the safety. You can move Jahdae Barron to safety. Remember, Sark said they planned on Jahdae Barron playing corner, nickel, and safety. He played corner and nickel in that Colorado State game. Maybe this is the game that they move him to safety for him to cover Loveland if need be, and still be a guy that can help in run support, because you're going to be mostly in a base personnel. So even though he plays nickel and corner, last week, as I predicted, Jalen Gilbo started at nickel and he started at corner. And also, as I suggested last year, they're now moving him around based on the matchup week to week. And I said, if you want him to be a Thorpe Award finalist, you need to sell him and promote him as the most versatile defensive back in the country. This is the game to move him to safety. And after this, and you beat Michigan with him shutting down the first round tight end, then the narrative starts to develop. Man, hold up. He moved to safety and shut down tight end. They had him moving around to neutralize Torrey Horton in the first game. Boom, boom. Start the storyline. All right, there you go. And honestly, that should be the game plan. I mean, and of all the guys, you can move Makuba there, because Makuba can play safety, nickel, and corner. So maybe Makuba can start off there covering them. But I think Makuba and Taft Daddy, I think they're a little undersized. I think they're a little slight. I think they're a little light for Coach. Coach Loveland's big. He's a big boy. he's got some mass on. And Jahdae actually gained a little weight. Jahdae's a little thick when you look at him. Jahdae's a little thicker. I would, I'd put Jahdae at safety. I don't know. Maybe you can start out that way and put him at safety and basically have him moving boundary to field to match up on him. You can do that if you want him matched up on Loveland.
Yeah, they list Colston Loveland at 6'5", 245.
Bro, he'll box you out. He'll just just throw it right there in my vicinity, my catch radius, and I'll just box you out.
Yeah.
If you got bad position, or I'll just make it a jump ball. Now, you need somebody a little bit more physical on him, and you don't want to put a linebacker on him. He won't do a linebacker dirty. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, he'll do a linebacker dirty. Yes, he will. So you're going to need to put a DB on him. I'd put a safety on him. And I think Derek Williams actually would be pretty good on, because he's long and rangy. You need a longer DB, or you need somebody a little bit thicker. Like I said, you want to they already, took my advice, or at least my suggestion was something they also were thinking, that, hey, let's start moving Jahdae Barron around matchup based on the matchup week to week. But I'm telling you, for the national narrative, you move him around and you put him on Colston Loveland. It ain't got to be all the time. You don't got to shadow him or anything like that, but you put him at safety just so that he will have, basically a matchup against him whenever you can arrange it. And then he makes some plays there, which I think Jahdae Barron will. the storyline will take care of itself. Most versatile defensive back in the country. First 2 games of the season, played corner, played nickel, played safety, and then boom, there you go. And then all you gotta do is make a couple of plays in big games, and he's a Thorpe Award finalist. You're welcome. Just gave you the recipe, the one that will help you win too. Also about their passing game, Texas struggles defending the deep ball, as we know, deeper passing concepts. I think for Michigan, the fact that they can't throw the football downfield, that makes Texas' job, or at least that makes the task that Texas has ahead of them to stop the run and force them to beat you with the pass a whole lot easier. So if I'm Texas, I stack the box. You could go with bare fronts. You can go with penny fronts with 5 guys on the line of scrimmage. Hell, I saw even Johnny Nansen versus, I believe it was San Diego State. He had a 5 down lineman front. So he's got it somewhere in his repertoire, if you will. He's got that package where he kind of a run heavy or a run support package defensively, and Texas will play out of base. So because they're playing out of base, I would just stack the box with linebackers and your heaviest bodies on the defensive line and force Michigan to beat you with. I would invite them to throw the football because I don't know if they can. I would force them to prove to you they can throw the football vertically downfield because they were 1 of 5 versus Fresno State for 10 yards and an interception, throwing the football at least 10 yards downfield. They would have to prove it to me. I'm not just gonna give it to you. You got to prove. I'm gonna stack the box against you. I'll put 1 free safety back there just in case all hell breaks loose. But my DBs, I'm gonna tell them before the game, they don't really have elite wide receivers. The passing game, that ain't what they do. You're gonna be on an island a lot of the times. You don't have to play bump and run. You can have them playing off and flat foot reading everything since they're not going to throw it deep downfield. Maybe they'll try, but I think the technique, playing the upfield shoulder, reading the body language of the wide receivers should be able to take care of that. I don't know if they'll be able to throw it accurately deep downfield, but I would force them to prove it, and there will be some safety help. Like I said, I'll put 1 deep safety back there. They're not going to spread you out to run the football. They want to, they want to play power ball, play bully ball. That's what Michigan wants to do, is essentially hardball ball, but without Jim Harbaugh there. So I would leave my DBs on out. If my DBs can't hold up, Patrick, against this passing game, 1-on-1, then we got bigger issues, and that problem will be exposed later on. So I'd rather know early on in the season if my DBs can't hold up 1-on-1 against an anemic passing attack.
No, and that's what that's what we've talked about was in week 1. Okay, well, these are the things we want to do, and if it's not going to work, we need to know that. And this is a week 2 game. You're lucky that we're in the college football playoff era, that if something does happen, you have time to fix it and you're still in the national title hunt. But the reality is, I think last week it was, you need to leave your interior defensive linemen and kind of trust them to be able to handle their business. And if they can't, we need to know before Michigan. We talked about that last week, was against Colorado State. We need to know if you can't stop the run at all and they're just picking up first down after first down, running up the middle. We need to know that before we go to Michigan, because it's going to be a problem. Now we're having the flip of that. Okay, now you're Michigan. We're going to give help into the interior D line, but we need the DBs now. We need you to go out on your own, and we need to learn this. But so by the time we get to that stretch of OU Georgia, we should have everything tested and what needs extra help and what doesn't. When you start to play a little bit more well-rounded teams, you just happen to go up against a team that wanted to only throw the ball in the game in week 1, and you have a team in week 2 that only really wants to run the ball. So you get good tests there.
Yeah. It is. It's a great. Like I said, I love the contrast there for Texas to really show the spectrum really of what this defense is capable of. Right, the versatility. The buzzword, the versatility, the true versatility of the defense. But the passing game runs through Coastal and Loveland. You got to choke. If we're thinking they're going to take away a team's strength, if you're going to stop the passing game, or at least you're going to, I would say, stop the running game and load the box against them, you want to make sure that the one player that you want to neutralize in the passing game for them would be Loveland. He's the one you want to force them to have to beat you with one of their other targets. Anybody else, and because like I said, he's the guy. He can actually help them move the football and move the chains and convert first downs. Another thing too, they didn't use a lot of.
Loveland had 8 catches, 4 were for first downs, and 1 was for a touchdown. So 3 catches didn't lead to first downs or touchdowns.
Yeah, right. He's a dude. That's what I said. That's the passing game. That's the passing game in a nutshell. You stop them, you stop him, and I think you can choke the life out of the passing game too. And also they didn't use a lot of play action. I remember my man CJ Vogel bringing this up. They only used play action, I believe, on maybe 3 snaps, which is that's a really low number. And I think against Texas, you see them use a lot more play action pass to try to occupy the eyes of Texas defenders and maybe get a shot downfield with the play action pass. So they were definitely hiding something or saving something, of course. But one of those things may be the play action pass, and you may see it early. While Texas is really, really amped up, everybody's thinking stopping the run, winning first down, and then that's when they take their early shot over the top. Double moves, guys. They're going the short game, the quick game, the hitch and the slant, the quick out, the things that actually their quarterbacks can throw accurately, because those are high school throws that anybody can make. They're going to turn them into vertical throws, slant and go, out and up, hitch and go. Guarantee you. Oh, and the stalk block and go, right? The screen, like they faking, like he's going to block for the screen, and then he runs vertical, trying to occupy the eyes, undisciplined eyes of the secondary. The eyes were great for the secondary in that Colorado State game. That's what you got to watch. That's what I would do. Doesn't it make sense? Your quarterbacks can't throw those. You throw a couple of those. The DBs are sitting on routes, or they're playing, bump and run coverage, and DBs are overly aggressive. They should be overly aggressive in this game because, let's just point out, they can't throw the football downfield. But one of the ways you can get a really wide open window for a quarterback, double move. DB bites, and you got a lot of separation, or DB slips, a lot of separation. So that's how I think you're going to see that from Michigan. And I think you'll see the triple option. I think you'll see like the old school option from with Orji, because they have a wildcat, quarterback run package. I remember what Kansas did to Texas with that option that they broke out. Man, they caught Texas off guard. And I think you can catch Texas off guard. You catch everybody off guard running the option. Nobody does it anymore. You don't practice against it. Assignment football. So I think you'll see that too. All right, let's Michigan a little bit on offense. We'll come back. We'll get into the topic for the big fat poll today, and we'll also dive into the musically themed day of the week right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis, some lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis, coming back on the horn.
Back on the Rodcast here on a Wednesday morning, and that means it's a one artist Wednesday where I play you artists all show long from one band's catalog. And today it's the Bee Gees. Barry Gibbs' birthday was earlier this week, so we're playing the Bee Gees all day show long. I'm not the hugest Bee Gees fan, but I thought it'd be fun to go through and let's see if we could put together some Bee Gees songs on a Wednesday morning on a one artist Wednesday.
Nice.
Let's
I like that.
Before we get to Big Fat Poll of the Day, I do have breaking news, Rod. You do have breaking news this early in the morning.
Breaking Bad again.
A quarterback in the state of Texas has signed an extension.
Oh no.
Davis Mills coming back to the Texans in 2025. Davis Mills signs a 1-year extension with the Texans.
Okay, I like that.
I just want to troll the Cowboys fans just a little
No,
bit.
I know. I was like,
a little bit.
My timeline must be off or something. What the hell? I should have hit my timeline instantly.
No, they didn't re-sign Dak. No, Davis Mills. Davis Mills signed a 1-year
That's
extension.
important, man.
Hey, you
That's
need
important.
a backup quarterback in today's NFL.
Yes, because Case Keenum they put on the
injured list, and he's going to be So he's
right.
and I think they like Davis Mills too, so they want to have him.
No, he's basically been now with the organization, through multiple coaches now. So that's right. So that's the organization likes him. It's not just the coaching staff. The organization likes him. So no, good stuff. I like
there we
that.
go. Let's get to Big Fat Poll of the Day. Text line 512-447-3776, and we'll get this posted up on X at the Horn ATX.
Patrick's Big Fat Poll of the Day on the Horn.
Big Fat Poll of the Day today. We're talking about what the Texas defense has to do against Michigan's offense. Well, let's talk about what Texas offense has to do against Michigan. We do know that they have that stacked interior D-line of Michigan. We know that Texas does not have their starting running back, even though Alfred Blue and Jared Gibson both look really good in the game. So let's ask you. We asked you last week and now against Michigan to compare what you guys think. How many rushing yards will Texas have against Michigan?
That's good.
And I'll give you the 0 to 100, then 100 to 150, 150 to 200, and 200 plus. 200 plus means this season's going to be great. You run for 200 plus yards.
They win a national title because that means that they can't be the passing game can't be stopped or the running game can't be stopped. That means the offensive line is dominant.
They had 190, 191 against Colorado State. They were right there, 190 area for Colorado State.
But I don't know if they averaged. I don't think they got to 5 yards a carry, did they? It's probably because of the.
Yeah, it was just bulk. They just carried the ball a ton of times.
Yeah, and it was they in college they take away the yardage of the quarterbacks and the sacks and stuff, and it's weird.
They did, but there was only one sack on Quinn in that game as well.
I know, but then they include like quarterback carries in it when they're not carries, like that fumble, like they put that I think on Arch, and they add that to a carry. So they're probably like 3 or 4 carries.
So it was 190, and there was 8 negative yards. So they were technically they ran for 198.
And how many rushes?
41. 41. Now they gave
how many of those?
They gave Arch 3. They gave Arch 3. They gave Quinn 1. They gave the team 2.
There you go. See, college is weird about the stats. Everybody complains about it for years, and they don't.
Oh, Colin Page got 2. Colin Page got 2 for 4 yards. He was bringing down your average a little bit to walk on.
Yeah.
Velton Gardner had 3 for 11, 3.7. Everybody else averaged over 4 yards per carry.
Yeah.
You also have an Isaiah Bond 25-yard carry in there. So
yes, that was actually pretty good. And I think ultimately, as you're looking at it, Texas running attack is a little bit more potent than it looked in that game, just because of all the carries and some of the fluff thrown in there, if you want to. But I think the question is, can you run inside?
Exactly.
Michigan.
That's going to be the question.
Inside? Can you run inside? Because if you're just running out, by the way, they got a good Josiah Stewart is a really good edge player. I mean, I think he had last game against Fresno State, he had 2 sacks in that game. He had 2 sacks, 4 pressures. He had a 90 pass rush grade by Pro Football Focus. He's a monster. So it ain't just the 2 Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. They got an edge guy that's pretty damn good too. So I don't know if Texas can run inside against those 2, and those 2 are playing a lot more. They played a lot of those snaps. I think they played over 35, 40 snaps in that game versus Fresno State. Usually people are rotating their linemen a little bit more than that. So they play those guys a lot. So I wonder, maybe Texas can wear them out, try to, get them going sideline to sideline, use some up tempo, try to wear out those big guys. So I'm not going to count on them being able to run the football consistently against Michigan, period. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to give Michigan the benefit of the doubt that, they're that stout up front. I think Texas, and I've been saying this for the pass, should open up the run. And with Sark, that's always the case. Go look at Alabama. The last time they played a team of this ilk on the road with this kind of talent on defense was Alabama, and they led with the pass. You have to lead with the pass.
They still had over 100 yards rushing in that game.
Yeah, but it was at the end when they choked them out.
They did.
It was at the end. They made the track meet, and once you get tired of chasing Sark's offense around and all of his offensive pieces in that track meet, that's when the big humans and the bully ball comes in. Once Texas gets a lead after the Sark run, we always talk about, they get that lead and then they pound the rock and choke you out. Remember what Jay Witt always said, we love to play duo because that's how we know we got him on the ropes. So we got him on the ropes and we got the lead. Let's pound the rock. Let's milk the clock and pound the rock and really choke the life out of the clock and really force them into submission is what they did this to Alabama on the road. I think that's the same recipe here. You got to get Quinn going.
I agree.
You're only going to win this game if Quinn's, and in the big games, they always get Quinn going. Alabama in 2022, Alabama in 2023. You get Quinn going first. Big 12 title game, big games. Get your quarterback going first. Even when your run game is there, you get the quarterback going first. Get him confident. Everything else will fall into place.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree because I think you want to push them back off the line. You want to make them have to not pass rush as much. You want to make them have to sit back in secondary and try and really make sure you're not getting picked apart. And then when all that happens, then you can run the ball on them and make them try and step back up and have to defend that as well. But that'll give you the big fat poll today. How many rushing yards will Texas have against Michigan? 0 to 100, 100 to 50, 100 to 150, 150 to 200, 200 plus. Let's get what your how much Kool-Aid are you drinking on a Wednesday morning before the game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know how many rushing yards. I got to think about that because I think they'll get them later on in the game when they've worn Michigan out a little bit. Early on, those rushing yards might be tough to come by. All right, good stuff there for the topic for the big fat poll today. We come back. We'll get into more, of course, Texas-Michigan conversation. We'll get into, in Rod's rant, we'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys a little bit because there's some news on the Dak Prescott negotiation. We'll get into also other NFL news, notes, and nuggets with the NFL kickoff right around the corner. Tomorrow we'll talk about a lot about the headlines right now that are top of mind in the NFL. All of that and more right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Loho and Rod Babers coming back on the horn. Mm. Wow. Welcome back to the Rodcast. One Artist Wednesday. Man, that note right there, that's wild. My throat hurts. I want to clear my throat just listening to him hit that note. One Artist Wednesday with my man Patrick, my co-host, goes deep down the rabbit hole into the catalog of one specific artist, group, or band. And today, that artist, that group, the Bee Gees, who we focused on today in the One Artist Wednesday. I like that, though. That's, man. I don't think I went down the catalog of the Bee Gees. I mean, I just stick to their couple of main hits. Yeah. Staying Alive, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if I've gone, but I don't think I've ever heard that song. I don't think I've ever heard him hit that note.
That's Tragedy. It was a big hit. It was a really big hit at the time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man. All right, there you go. So appreciate Patrick hooking us up with the musically themed days of the week, but also he hooks us up with a great conversation starter with the topic for the big fat poll of the day. Patrick, give the folks the topic for the big fat poll of the day.
Big fat poll of the day. How many rushing yards will Texas have against Michigan? Nice and easy. I gave you the easy answer: 0 to 100, 100 to 150, 150 to 200, and 200 plus.
200 plus. How many they have versus Bama?
It was like 109, I believe. And that's off the top of my head.
That's kind of I think that's where we're gonna be. I feel like that's because I think you lead. Oh, I think you lead with the pass, right? I just think that's where you are as a football team now when losing CJ Baxter, losing Christian Clark, being down to 3 scholarship running backs at one point. As I was once told in the NFL, football and life are constant struggles deciding between what you want to be and what you need to be in order to survive. I know what Sark wanted to be, his vision for the offense with CJ Baxter and the power running game and, Jaden Blue on the perimeter and the edge as a dual threat in the passing game and the running game. And then all of those great weapons as well in the passing game. But, you lost some of that already and you don't know how the season is going to unfold. So what you need to be right now is an offense that leans on the passing game.
It is. So against Alabama, you had 105 rushing yards in the game, 349 passing yards.
Yeah. And I don't know if you had that many rushing yards the year before when versus Bama either at home, right? And that was with Bijan and Rojo. So the truth is against, so I'm not, and these defenses are structured differently, but in terms of talent, we're talking about guys, first round caliber talent, multiple guys who are going to play in the first round, multiple guys who will be drafted on their defense. I think to me, it doesn't feel like Texas is going to go on the road and be able to have a dominant running attack, a running attack that keeps them balanced, a running attack that keeps Michigan honest, a running attack that, is largely kind of symbolic, just so that you can stay on schedule. But I'm not looking for a dominant running attack. Texas is going to win this game by making it a track meet. And Michigan would love for you to go in there and run the ball and try to impose your will in the running game. They would love that. You would make their life easy. The thing that's keeping Wake Martindale up right now, and that I guarantee you Michigan is stressing about defensively, is can they match up with all the weapons you have in the passing game? They're not worried about matching up with you in the running game.
No.
Ain't nobody losing sleep about your running game in Michigan right now. Nobody, I guarantee you, nobody's stressing out about your running game, but they are stressing out about stopping that Texas passing attack. They're stressing out about that. Oh, I guarantee, they got a guy, Ryan Wingo. He's like fourth. He's like fourth among the receivers. He's not even like one of their top guys. How are we gonna cover that dude? Do we have a third corner, that third or fourth corner that can cover him? No, not really. We ain't go that. And so I think ultimately you make it a track meet. That's how you're going to beat Michigan. And guys, listen, Will Johnson's the best corner in college football. You don't want to make your money attacking him, and you don't want to build a game plan around him. But they targeted him. Fresno State went after him. They went after the best corner in college football, and they had 8 targets against him, 5 receptions allowed, 77 yards. There was a drop touchdown pass by one of the receivers. It was a really tough, NFL caliber catch, but and I think Will Johnson will have a bounce back performance, but he gave up 77 yards, 29 yards after the catch, 4 first downs, 3 different receivers went after him. They did not shy away from him, is my point, and neither will Sark. So, I wouldn't just attack him, but I don't know if Sark is going to build a game plan to, essentially shy away from him or to give him a decoy kind of, basically some, basically a player to throw out there as a decoy for him to feast on pretty much all game long. I think Sark's going to attack him a little bit. Based on the Fresno State film, you should. Now, he's a great corner. 90 is I believe, when you looked at him overall as a corner, he was the best corner in college football last season. I think he allowed a 29 passer rating when he was targeted. And even the year before that, he was one of the top 10 best corners in college football. He's been a top 10 corner in the game, and now is the best corner in the game for the last, really, since he's been a college football player, period. So I think Texas is going to go after him, though. So the passing game is going to lead the way. Those D tackles, Grant and Graham, they played 40 snaps in that game. They played 40 snaps in that matchup. Usually, D tackles don't play that many snaps. Texas D tackles, because they're rotating, them played maybe 25, 30 snaps.
They're trying to get them ready.
They know. They like, Texas, man, y'all going to play.
Yeah.
We need y'all to play most of that game. Yeah. And that may be good for Texas. Because I think that's when they'll be worn out by the fourth quarter.
Especially if you run around chasing speed.
Boom. Exactly. If chasing those screens, chasing those, some end and around, a lot of misdirection, some tempo every now and then to get the big boys moving. That's why I think the running game will break late. I think the dam will break late for them, and you'll be able to get some yards in the running game later in the game. But at the start, man, I'd lead with the pass. And like I said, that's what Sark does. In the Bama game, 56% first half or early down pass rate. Oklahoma, 58%. Oklahoma State was 62% in the Big 12 title game. That's hell. In the game last week against Colorado State, you were 58% pass rate on the first 5 drives. I think Sark sees the team the same way I see the team. You got to lead with the pass. You got to lead with what your opponents fear the most, right? You got to lead with what they fear, and they fear the Texas passing game. They don't fear the running game. Maybe they should, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, but the running game should complement the passing game. So I'm not saying that you need to abandon the run at all. I still want the balance, but I think you lead with what keeps your opponent up at night. And what keeps opponents up at night is Quinn Ewers' ability to put the ball on the money, short to intermediate area, how quickly he gets rid of the football when he's on time. Guys, his average time to throw in that game versus Colorado State was 2.17 seconds. Nobody's going to get to him in 2.17 seconds. Now, he did allow, and it goes to the point I was talking about yesterday about how Quinn handles pressure. He was only pressured twice versus Colorado State. That's it. He was just pressured twice. That's it. And those 2 pressures, though, resulted in an interception one time and a sack the other time. So ultimately, it's about how he handles that kind of pressure. But see, that to me, if he's on time and he's in rhythm as a passer, man, as a defense, you're going to be SOL. It's going to be really hard for you to defend all those weapons if he's operating with that kind of efficiency. And that's, like I said, that's the passing game, though. That's all the things right now pointing to it being advantageous to the passing game. Like I said, I would make a living throwing the football at Will Johnson because he 29 passer rating allowed in 2023. Hell, even when he went up against Marvin Harrison Jr. and Romeo Odunze, he had an interception, only allowed 3 receptions against those dudes. He's a stud, but he's human. And that was shown versus Fresno State. He did get the pick 6, though. Get pick 6. Hey, I'm always about every DB gets beat. It's all about how many plays you make on the football. All right, let's get to our Horn headlines here. Then we'll come back and talk about Jerry Jones, the Dak Prescott contract negotiations. We'll get into some NFL news, notes, and nuggets and Rod's rant. But first, let's get updated, educated, and informed with all the top stories today with Patrick Davis and the Horn headlines.
All right, your Horn headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. In the MLB, the Astros resumed their series with the Reds today, sending August AL Rookie of the Month Spencer Arrighetti to the mound. And Astros manager Joe Espada has stated that Kyle Tucker could finally return to play as early as today after being sidelined since June with a broken shin. The Rangers tied their series with the Yankees in dramatic fashion with 1 out in the bottom of the ninth, down by 1 with the bases loaded. Wyatt Langford became the first Ranger rookie in history to hit a walk-off grand slam, winning the game 7-4. Nathan Eovaldi will try to close out the series with a win for the Rangers tonight. In the NFL, the Trent Williams ended his holdout with the 49ers. 49ers and Williams agreed on a restructured $82 million deal that includes $48 million guaranteed and $25 million in a signing bonus. Williams will now be the highest paid offensive lineman this season, making over $27 million. And in college football this week, the second AP poll was released, with Georgia still at number 1, followed by Ohio State, Texas at number 3, and Alabama at 4. Notre Dame jumped 2 spots to 5, while Florida State becomes the 3rd team to go from a top 10 preseason team to unranked in the first regular season poll since the rankings expanded to 25 in 1989. And that is your Horn headlines.
All right, Patrick, thank you for the the Horn headlines. I appreciate those. I saw today that, I guess this is Texas related too. There was an article at Pro Football Talk about Jim Harbaugh, and like I said, this is related to Texas because it is about the culture, if you will, that of the brand of football that Michigan plays. And it said basically that they have a lineman now that they are labeling as a fullback on the roster. Talking about that Jim Harbaugh bully ball, that they have this lineman, and his name is Scott Matlock, and they got him listed as their starting fullback on their 1 week depth chart. 6'4", 296 pounds is listed as their starting fullback, as well as a backup interior offensive lineman. So he's a 6th round pick. That is Harbaugh ball in a nutshell. The description about Jim Harbaugh famously on the Midwest was that he's a fist with a mouth. And that's what kind of offense they have too. They're just, that offense is a fist with a mouth, pretty much. And they just want to punch you in the face. And that's what Anthony Hill said too. He was like, we understand it's going to be just an absolute fist fight. It's exactly what it's going to be. And they want to turn it into a fist fight and a street fight. You want to turn it into a track meet.
Yeah.
That's going to be the struggle. If it's more of a fist fight, well, that's their kind of game. They're comfortable with that kind of game, and they can slug it out and muck it up. And then ultimately, that's how Harbaugh football works. He wants, to play ground and pound 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's not when Sark's offense is. That's not when Texas is at its best. Texas is a high-flying, speed-oriented, speed and space-oriented offense.
Yeah.
And that's what Michigan, but I would say Michigan, their blueprint is Ohio State. They go against one of those. It's not like they don't face that offense. They face that offense. Ohio State is that.
Yeah.
Elite wide receivers, elite quarterbacks, sophisticated passing game, right? They got a blueprint for it. They like they will be shell shocked. Whoa, this is seeing it. No. They see an offense very similar to that. And they've had success. Have they not? They know how to deal with an offense like that. They know how to muck up an offense. They know how to make you ugly. And they know how to muck it up. And ultimately they're going to do it by limiting your possessions, number one, which shrinks your margin for error considerably. Texas might have the fewest possessions in any game this year in this game. Because that's just how Michigan operates. Unless you can get them off the field. And they operate slowly. You look at that time in between snaps, they're like 120 something in the country. Because they want to slow it down. They want to mug it up. They're going to take every bit of play clock and time on the clock when they have offensive ball as they can. Don't let them convert. Because they will keep the football as long as possible. They will just play keep away, keep you on the sideline. So you're only going to have a few possessions anyway. And they're cool with that because their defense gets to rest. And they want their defense versus your offense with you having limited possessions. Remember, that's how you beat Sark. Washington did it. Remember that third quarter where Texas barely saw the football, a couple of fumbles, barely saw the ball, and we never saw the run. You always say you're going to get a run in a Sark game. you got to either be able to withstand the run or you got to be able to limit the run, and you limit the run by limiting possessions. Like we talked about that Colorado State game, guys, this is 10-0 game midway, through the second quarter, and then the run. The Golden State Warriors in their prime. Zoom, everything clicks for Sark. They score a touchdown. Janae Barron gets the pick, runs it back deep in their territory, score another touchdown. Then you get forced a 3 and out. Silas Bowden gets the punt return, score another touchdown. And then you look up and you go, oh, you're Jay Norvell. At one point, you were like, I'm pretty satisfied where I am. I got to tell you, my team might be a good team. This Texas team, they're a national title contender. And then you look up and you go, okay, not close at all. Like, what happened in the blink of an eye? The run. So the run's coming. It's inevitable. 80% of the games we've seen Sark coach, you can identify the run. The problem early on was you get the run, and then they couldn't keep the lead. They would give up the lead, and they'd have a collapse. Last year, they were able to hold on for dear life and win those games, but you still would get the lead because of the run earlier in the game, and then boom, other team came back and was able to close that gap. This year, this team's supposed to be different. The run is still going to be there. That's part of Sark's DNA. Part of what I think that's part of like the DNA of his team. So the run, Michigan's will try to limit the run or try to limit possessions so that Texas doesn't have the run. And that Washington game, they never really had the run. They can score, but they never had the run where they start to pull away from it.
Yeah.
Even Alabama had they had to deal with the run. It was like, damn, they pulled away from Alabama. Like, yeah, they had that run, and you talked about it. Started with that pick.
Yep.
Boom, 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 boom. And it looked up and it was like, this was a close game, but looks like Texas is pulling away from this thing. And that's if you're Michigan, you can't allow them to pull away because Michigan will never catch up. Track meet, they'll start celebrating Tyreek Hill style on them. And that's the battle when you play up against a Sark team, that trying to stop that run and recognizing when that run's coming as a coach. And with Michigan, it's going to be tough because, like I said, they're going to stop time essentially on offense. They just want to go as slow as possible and play keep away. You'll see it, and it's like I said, it's old school. It's 12 personnel. It's hardball football. Like he's gonna take that style to the league too, where he's just trying to a fist with a mouth. He's just trying to pound you into submission. The play that Texas has to look out for too, and this is interesting because we talked about this before. They got to look out for duo, which ironically is one of their favorite plays. Duo is essentially a combo block at the point of attack. Boom, straight up power football, old school. We're going to double this guy. We're knocking guys out of the way, and we're moving human beings against their will, and we're running downhill on you. And it's a favorite play of Michigan. And we know this because we told you the story about Jay Witt ultimately in his draft interviews telling coaches that his favorite play was a run play that he got a chance to block on. And he was one of the main kind of the guys blocking at the point of attack on a play called duo. It's a run play. And the quote from Jay Witt is, we had this regular run play in our playbook called duo. We'd get in our bunch formation, and when we're running this play repeatedly, we're basically telling you that we're beating you both mentally and physically. It was our statement play, if that makes sense. We absolutely love that run play. We just run that play over and over and over again whenever we felt like the game was over. The opposing team couldn't handle that play. That was my favorite play. That's when I knew we had him on the ropes. And the Rams, my theory was, that was a big part of why they drafted him, because the Rams, that's their bread and butter play. Last year, no NFL team had more snaps of duo. All right. They led the NFL in rushing attempts in duo. All right. Running duo, rushing yards at the contact, rushing touchdowns, running duo. And Kyron Williams, who was the running back that they were deploying when they were executing those concepts. He led the NFL in attempts, yards at the contact, touchdowns, running, that play duo. Now, Jay Witt's with him now, and I said they got Jay Witt for a lot of different reasons, but I think one of them is that he likes blocking and they like wide receivers that can block their key run play. They just like his football character too. You love a wide receiver that says, hey, my favorite play is a play where I block, right? So he doesn't have a lot of diva in him, very unselfish player. But then you go look at them drafting Blake Corum, and they drafted him in the third round from Michigan. And the reason they drafted him was because he knows how to run duo better than any running back in that draft class, maybe in the country. because Blake Corum ran more duo plays for more yards than any other NCAA running back. And he was drafted by the team, the Rams, who ran more duo plays for more yards and touchdowns than any team in the league. That is not a coincidence at all. And Jay Witt being also drafted by them and him telling teams, hey, I love blocking this play. Duo is one of our statement plays at Texas. Statement play for Texas, one of the favorite running concepts for Michigan. It's the duo off, if you will, right? Which one of these teams is going? And that's power football for both of them. Michigan, that's power football. That's the power football for Texas. For Texas, they use it differently. Michigan's going to use it early on in the game to set the tone. Sark wants to use it later in the game to seal the deal, basically to choke his opponent out. That's what my man Jay Witt said. He said, we absolutely love that run play. We just run it over and over again whenever we felt like the game was over. Game's over. We got the game in hand. Let's put them out of their misery. Let's put our foot on the throat. Let's put the nail in the coffin. Let's go duo. Let's emasculate them, because that's what the running game does. If somebody just run downhill on you, it's very emasculating as a defense, not being able to stop it. And that's why they do it late in the games, because the late in the game also aligns with Sark's philosophy about big humans. Big humans aren't as effective early in the game. They're effective late in the game when they're leaning on you. 330 pounds. You've been dealing with it for 3 quarters. You're tired, and you know what I mean. You're hurt. You're bleeding, and then this dude's 330 pounds. You still got to deal with. Not a lot of teams have the depth. Not a lot of teams have. And we'll see with Michigan too, right? Not a lot of teams really have the fortitude to be able to deal with that 4 quarters, and that's what Sark wants to take. He wants to take essentially your pride from you and emasculate you with those big humans late in the game. The speed is what sets the tone for him. What seals the game and closes the game for him is the run game and the big humans. The big humans to seal the deal. Speed is to set the tone. And it'll be the same thing against Michigan. Shell shock, speed, and then the haymaker is duo, power football at the end. And then you have the mix. Now, can you do it against Michigan? I don't know, but Michigan's going to run duo. You should know how to stop duo because it's one of your favorite run concepts. They're going to run it right at you. And Michigan ran it more than any team in college football, basically. And maybe it's a Blake Corum thing, but I think it's a staple in the offense you're going to see. There you go. Some random X's and O's conversation. All right, we come back. We'll get into the Dallas Cowboys story. We'll talk about Jerry Jones's comments about Mike McCarthy's lame duck status. We'll give you the update on the status of the contract negotiations between Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, and we'll jump into some other NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Got a lot to talk about right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis and Lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis. Coming back on the Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about Dr. U. Well, I call him Dr. U. You couldn't as well, but it's Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic team. They do a great job. I owe them a huge debt of gratitude. I initially went there just to have a routine cleaning and a checkup, and they're so thorough in their checkups that they actually found that my wisdom teeth were growing in sideways. I was on the verge of a disastrous situation. I was able to avoid it with the care and with the knowledge and expertise of Dr. Eckert and his staff. They made me fully, informed, and I was fully educated and aware of everything that was happening and the procedure itself. They got it scheduled. I was comfortable with the process and got everything done. I was back to work within a couple of days, and now my dental health and dental hygiene have never been better, thanks to Dr. Eckert and his team. And I would encourage you, hopefully it's not something as serious as having all your wisdom teeth extracted. Hopefully it's something really simple like a cleaning or a checkup, but whatever it is, you're in great hands with Dr. Eckert and his team. And anytime someone asks me if I know a good dentist. I say, no, I know the best dentist in Austin, Dr. Greg Eckert. Give him a call, no matter what it's for: general dentistry, teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care available. That's what Dr. Greg Eckert and his team are all about. And right now, because they're always on the cutting edge of the technological advances in general dentistry, and they have the ability to give you a brand new smile in just one day. That's right, folks. Permanently secured to your dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You'll get temporary fixtures first until they complete your permanent smile. You're going to smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. So we're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, just call Dr. Eckert today to learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a brand new smile in just one day, and it's a complimentary consultation, folks. So you got nothing to lose but everything to gain. So you've been told you need dentures. Don't freak out. This is a revolutionary alternative to dentures. And right now, my friend, Dr. Greg Eckert, he can give you a great consultation on this procedure. And like I said, it's a complimentary one as well. A confident smile can truly change your life, and Dr. Eckert wants to change your life for the better. Give him a call, 512-345-3166, 512-345-3166. And right now, if you tell them that you heard it on the horn or you're a horn listener, you'll get free Zoom whitening treatment as well. Free Zoom whitening with your procedures there, and with your appointment there at Dr. Eckert's office. So give them a call, 512-345-3166, or visit drueckert.com, drueckert.com. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get to some NFL news notes and nuggets. I want to talk about the Cowboys, of course. Always a lot of drama with the Cowboys. Well, specifically with the Dak Prescott contract negotiations happening right now. And this comes from The Athletic's Diana Rossini. And she pointed this out on Tuesday. This was on the Scoop City podcast. And she said that, I'll just read the excerpt here, or at least what she said on the Scoop City podcast. She said, quote, "The holdup at this point, from what I understand, is about the years the Dallas Cowboys are willing to commit to. While it's assumed that Dak is going to be paid at the top of the market, the Dallas Cowboys are aware of that. It's do they want to put themselves in a position contractually that will keep Dak in Dallas longer than 2, 3, 4 years? And that's what Dak is looking for. He's looking for a long-term commitment from Dallas. So the holdup here is really the belief from the Dallas Cowboys. This is a guy who's won a lot of games, but is that enough? Winning's not enough for Jerry Jones. We know this. They want to do more. They don't want to be just the team that wins a lot of games. They want to be the team that can play in the Super Bowl. So I was a little surprised by that. I thought maybe Dak would want a shorter-term deal, try to get back to free agency again, get paid again, but maybe Daddy Dak, he's got a kid now, and he's out. I think he's probably thinking about getting married and all that kind of stuff. Maybe now he wants security of I want to be. And remember, I talked about this with quarterbacks. They want to be basically. They always say quarterback managers. They want to be quarterback executives. They want to own their offense and pretty much be able to have say in the organization's path, or at least be able to give their opinion and it be graciously accepted. Right, even if it's a courtesy, but like, hey, who do you think we should draft here? And like, okay, all right. And if you listen, like the Kansas City Chiefs did and draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire, great. Or like the Texans did with C.J. Stroud suggesting they draft Tank Dell, then great. But if not, your quarterback still feels empowered and a part of the process and invested and committed. And I think Dak wants that now with the Cowboys. He wants, because the Tex Coast offense is his offense. All right, now what's going to happen with if Mike McCarthy, who's the play caller for that offense, leaves, that's a different discussion. But that's the whole point of you being an executive of your own offense, is that you carry it with you. Like that's what Jalen Hurts is trying to do, because he's tired of all the turnover with different offensive coordinators and play callers in his career. He's like, no, I want to own my. Tom Brady owns his own offense. Aaron Rodgers took his offense to Green Bay. That's why he needed Nathaniel Hackett to roll with. He was like, hey man, come help me with this offense. And that's, I think there are more and more quarterbacks that are starting to want that control. Patrick Mahomes, trust me, when Andy Reid leaves, and Patrick Mahomes will have his offense. Like he'll be executive and they'll be running Patrick Mahomes' offense, whatever he decides it is. And I think that's what Dak wants now at this point. We forget how old Dak is. I mean, Dak's an OG now.
He's 30, 31?
Dak's OG. Yeah, Dak's OG status now in the league in terms of a guy who's been starting for since he starts his rookie year.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's at OG status, and I think it's surprising that he wouldn't just want the short, because earlier on the report was that he wanted that the Cowboys might have been offering like a 2-year deal, like a quick one, like just a 2-year fully guaranteed, take it, just boom, we'll pay you whatever that market rate is, 55 million, 60 million, but it's a 2-year deal. We don't really want the commitment because we're not sure you're the guy, basically, and we may want to move on. That's certainly the actions are speaking that sentiment, or at least echoing some of that sentiment right now, because they have not prioritized signing Dak and getting that deal done. But now we're hearing that Dak wants a longer-term deal. So that's a bit of an update. That's something different. I didn't think that would be the case. I thought Dak would be open to a short-term deal, but he wants to be in Dallas, like basically for the rest of his career.
So
I'm assuming.
It's the analogy you've used of he wants a wedding ring. They're giving him a promise ring.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it's exactly right. You're right. That's kind of what it is. He wants the whole thing. He wants the commitment and the wedding and building the family
quarterback
together,
for life.
Yes. And the guy was like, not sure if I would make that commitment. Hey, they're like Robbie was like that for 10 years. I wasn't sure either. I finally did it. And you know what? I don't regret it at all. I should have did it earlier. But that's a great way to put it, because I think that's what's going on here. So the numbers are not the big deal. Yeah, because the number is the number. You're going to pay $60 million for Dak. And I don't think Dak's going to be like, hey, I want $65 million. I think Dak's like, no, top of the market's fine with me. I'll get enough of my guarantees.
But that makes sense too, is Jerry goes, look, we've got the money. We can pay you. And we understand what the quarterback market is. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to be locked into anything. I don't want to, I want to be able to stay in the top of frame of mind. I always believe I can go get whoever I want to get. And I believe I can do this, even though that's not necessarily true, but I believe I can do all that. But if that's really what Jerry Jones is at, that he wants a 2-year deal, then let Dak walk. I mean, you should have traded him, but let Dak walk. You're done. Like,
he's trying to maximize the window, though. The 5-year window.
I get it, but
that's why I think he wants a 2-year deal. He's like, once he's outside the 5-year window, I know they're not going to win a championship.
But there is
nobody in history has ever done it.
But that's the thing is, I think you finish out this year and go, okay, go draft somebody else and try and create a new window. We still got some other players. We'll pay Micah. We got CD in here to help out whoever we get is a young quarterback. And we'll just try and go start over and then have a window with a rookie quarterback. With Shedeur.
Shedeur Sanders.
Yep, that's the guy.
Conspiracy theory.
Yep, that's the guy.
Now you're gonna start.
I don't think they hired Dion as coach, but I think they do go for Shedeur.
You think that's a realistic one though, not just a crazy?
Oh, 100%. That's realistic.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, he's gonna be a top.
He's
pick
not
in
a
the draft.
bad quarterback. Like
no, I wasn't saying that. It's just it fits Jerry to a T. Like
too much.
It tracks too well, and it's like, are you really that guy, Jerry? And he's like, yeah, I'm really that guy. Like then he'll never live down the belief that he cares more about headlines. And cares more about,
the question is, if Shedeur Sanders does it was 6-6, and then you go and
it's just very realistic.
Very realistic. And so you say, so Jerry has to come out and go, I got rid of Dak because he's not a winning quarterback.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because Shedeur ain't winning anything either. I get that's not entirely his fault, but at the same part, he's also not building a winning culture in Colorado.
Yeah, that's a great point. I agree with that. I mean, but I will give him credit. I've said it for a while. If you don't think your quarterback is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, you do need to entertain the possibility of an upgrade. And I've talked about this with a lot of great coaches. Kansas City is the best example because Alex Smith was a perfectly fine QB. And he's happened twice to Alex Smith. He's like it happened twice. It happened when he was with the 49ers too. And Jim Harbaugh was like, yeah, man, you're perfectly fine. But you're not Super Bowl caliber material. So I think we're going to upgrade to this guy, Colin Kaepernick, who we could debate about that for years, whether he had a higher ceiling, but I would argue he did in that offense with Jim Harbaugh. And I think we saw that because they got to a Super Bowl. And then you look at the Kansas City example for Alex Smith, and Alex Smith was going to playoffs and they were making it to, I don't know if they were winning playoff games, but they were making it to the playoffs. And they figured, we need an upgrade. This guy's not good enough to upgrade to Patrick Mahomes. We've seen that happen all across the NFL. The 49ers did it. They tried to upgrade over Purdy. My man Shano tried to go get Tom Brady out of retirement and told Brock Purdy straight up, listen, if I can convince Tom Brady to come back, you're on the bench. I know you're my starter right now, but if I get the GOAT here, you're on the bench. He was looking to upgrade. He was like, now I got to upgrade my quarterback situation, man. Looking up. You should always, if it's a possibility and you can't do it, Jared Goff, prime example, got to a Super Bowl with Sean McVay, and Sean McVay said, but you can't win it. I need a guy that can win it. It's not good enough to get there. I need a guy that can win it. So we got an upgrade. So I actually would admire the Cowboys. They're thinking, it's time to upgrade. We've seen him. We know this is his ceiling. He gets he gets there and he can't take us over.
The problem is, and I don't think the Cowboys would be in this position because I think the ownership is better at the Cowboys than it was in Washington. The problem is you look at a Kirk Cousins and you say Kirk Cousins wasn't where Dak was at, and they looked at him and they said, we're moving on from Kirk Cousins. And then they've started 7 straight different starting quarterbacks year after year.
Right.
So, you can say that. Too. And then, Shedeur Sanders wins 10 games this season, and he is no longer a viable option for you to go get anymore, or wins 9 games, whatever it is. But he puts himself in a conversation that he's number 1, number 2 pick in the draft, and you don't have enough assets to go get him anymore. And so you're saying I'm trading 6 picks to like 5 first to go get. No, I'm not trading that. So now you don't get the guy that you thought. Yeah. So now you got to wait. You don't get Quinn. You don't get Carson Beck. And now you got to draft a quarterback a little bit later. And then you're not sure. And then you're playing Cooper Rush. And you maybe try and bring back Trey Lance. And okay, that doesn't work. So next season we're going to go at it again. But you're not terrible because you still have talent on that team. Mm-hmm. And Jerry's not going to ever try and be bad and tank. So you just never get that guy. So risky, there is that risk that you never get that guy, and you get that guy and you miss. And you miss. You can get that guy and still miss. Yeah, the chances, the pitfalls, the potential pitfalls are everywhere. But that's it. I get if they're that far off. If it's really Cowboys want a 2-year deal and Dak wants 6, that's not close. Now, if you say, "Wait, we can go to 4," can you come to 4? Can we go to 3? I want 2. But if you go into 4 already, give him 6. because then you're getting value at the back end.
Yeah, if you're gonna go to 4, you might as well go to 6. If you are taking a hard line stance that no, man, we want short-term deal. Maybe 3 is the longest you'll go. Like, hey, can we just get a 3-year deal with the option is the last year, but I get the 2 years, that kind of thing. No, I can see it. I can see why Dak wants the long-term deal. I think he just wants stability now. He's thinking about he's got a family and he wants to build something in Dallas, build his brand, start signing some long-term deals.
And we always get on the text line people talking about, the added value of playing in Dallas and being part of the Cowboys. And I think Dak understands that too. He goes, well, if I want that added value, I'd prefer that for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
I prefer that added value the same way Troy Aikman has it. And I know Troy Aikman won Super Bowls, but the same way that when we think Troy Aikman, we think Cowboys quarterback, you think Roger Staubach, you think Troy Aikman, and those guys have that more so than Tony Romo.
Mm-hmm.
And so you say, I want to have that. So I want to be here for long enough that I can say I was a Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback for 10 to 15 years. And that means that I get to have this special ability to make money for my family for the rest of my life.
Yep.
And if I want to do that, that's great. Yeah. But you got to give me that commitment because now it's a lifelong commitment to the Dallas Cowboys versus a 2 to 3 year deal. And I know you're going to try and push me out the door when I'm 33, 34. Yeah. Like the only way is I got to win like 2 Super Bowls for you to keep me.
Yeah. By then they'll have another plan. Or they should by then have an exit strategy, if you will. But I'm with you. I think Dak is thinking about, no, I want to end my career here. He'll end it somewhere else probably, but ideally the basically the best years of his prime are in Dallas now. Yeah. And that he will always be known as a like you said, he wants to be known his entire career, even if he leaves later on, because it happens to great quarterbacks, right? So
it does, but I think
Joe Montana, he wants to be known that he'll always be known as a Dallas Cowboy, period.
Yeah, and I mean, if he were to sign a 6-year deal and have a no trade, he could finish his career at Dallas. I mean, because he'd be 37.
Yeah. I don't know if he wants that quarterbacks are playing now to 40 something. I don't know how long he wants to play. I have no idea. Like, some quarterbacks I want to play them 39, 40. And then you have that 1 or 2 years where in the quarterback circle of life, they end up with another team. And it happens to a lot of your great quarterbacks, right? Yeah. You're starting to see it more and more where they I remember having to Joe Montana. I remember it happening, obviously, to Tom Brady, starting out someplace or being known for your career, for being known in one place and then having to finish your career somewhere else. I mean, Warren Moon happened to him too. That was a lot of quarterbacks.
Steve McNair.
But yeah, well, it happens to, I mean, you go look at it. Matt Stafford, I guess, is the latest example too. He's going to finish his career. I don't know. Is he going to be known as a Lion or as a Ram? I think he actually might be known as a Ram.
I got the Super Bowl there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's part of the story, but I wonder in retrospect, 20 years from now, will he be known? Like, who will he be known for? Like, at least what team will he be synonymous with? Okay, we'll get to. Well, I want to get to this story real quick. We'll read this and then we'll get to what the facts with the stats. So Jerry told Clarence Hill of the new DLLS about why Mike McCarthy potentially is still a lame duck coach. And here's the quote. He said, I admit this. When we lost the Green Bay game, we basically had everybody say, okay, what are you going to do about this? Okay, this wasn't just a game. What are you going to do about this? And so it got the attention of everything we do. He went on to say that I don't know that there's any more urgency, but I have tried to look at places that we are complacent or ways not to be complacent. I'm looking for ways to make sure they can't say that I've got some kind of structure that breeds complacency. It can be contracts, it can be conversations, it can be player decisions. But here's the overall thing I have heard from fans with even more emotion after the Green Bay game and still hearing from them. You need to make some changes, and I'm still hearing it. I didn't make many changes, but within the realm of not making changes, totally changing people out, I tried to turn up the heat on myself and everybody involved. And I think that's what's being discussed. I think that's why angst was there. So he's all but admitting, like, this is my way of turning up the heat. Everybody on 1-year deals.
Yeah.
Everybody's in a contract year. Even Dak, basically. You're in a contract year too, even though we're negotiating it. So, okay. Like I said, I'm glad he admitted it. It felt like that to everybody. I think now he's starting to say the quiet part out loud. And they may get the Dak deal done, and we maybe no big deal. And maybe Mike McCarthy is the one that's got to deal with the hot seat and the lame duck status. But so is Zimmer. Zimmer's on that too, which makes sense. If your head coach is on a 1-year deal, why would any of the other coaches be on long-term deals? That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, that's Jerry. And we'll see. So basically, if Dak doesn't get a deal done and he's playing week to week on the last year of his deal, that is going to be fascinating with him and a coach. We've never seen that in NFL history, I don't think. I don't know if we've ever seen that.
Not with an all-pro coach,
franchise quarterback,
franchise
and a Super Bowl winning coach
that are both like, nope, time's passed you by, guys. We're moving on. But yeah, it's the fact that Dak was an all-pro last year, and I get the playoff games, I get it. But to have a guy be an all-pro and then be like, don't have it anymore. Time to move on.
Yeah, I'm with you. It is fascinating. It is. There's no question about it. So we'll see. Right now, it seems like years is what's holding up the Dak Prescott contract extension. Maybe not the money. All right, we come back. What the facts, what the stats. Got plenty of those from the college football world and from the NFL. We'll share them with you on the other side right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis going back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get to what the facts, what the stats. The Ravens, if there's a team that, man, should be in a position to try to topple the Kansas City Chiefs and stop their potential three-peat, the Ravens are, man, they right there. They should have been right there last year too, and they were. But of course came up short because Patrick Mahomes is just got the clutch gene, and he's on his way to being the GOAT, baby GOAT, as they like to call him. But now they added Derrick Henry. I think we forget about that addition. I think we have not talked enough about it. If you go look at the Ravens rank in rushing yards before contact per carry since 2019, first, second, and first. Ravens rank in rush yards before contact per carry. and now you're about to add Derrick Henry to the mix.
The question is, when does he fall off? When
Yeah, I
does
don't
that
know.
when does that
Yeah,
fall off come?
Father time?
Now,
Yeah.
and I'll throw in two parts of that. One is he's 30. So we say he's 30 years old, which is well past the point of when running backs
Well
normally fall
past
off.
the prime of running backs. I
Two,
agree.
his injuries have continued to start to pile up. And if you look at the Ravens, those running backs have never stayed healthy. Doesn't matter who they bring in, they'd never stay healthy.
No. I agree with you. All those things are true.
So we'll
All
see.
those
And I
things are
mean,
true.
and now the Ravens running backs are in LA at the Chargers. They have Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins are over running for the other Harbaugh now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it is it because they now have added and I said this when they hired Todd Monken. I said, man, Lamar Jackson in a spread attack is just going to be downright scary. It was. He won MVP. And now they have receivers and they have a truly modern, sophisticated passing attack. And everybody's going to play them with a light box because you can't afford to load the box against the Ravens. They have too many weapons now on the outside. And Lamar Jackson, of course, and his dual threat ability. I don't know. It may be something to consider that he, at 30, you're right, as a running back, to say he's the missing piece, that could be overblowing and exaggerating. But I wonder if his impact is being, undersold, what his impact could be. If everything goes right from
that's the thing is I think his impact's going to be huge. It's for me, how long can he stay on the field? How many plays can he do it?
Can he make it to the playoffs?
Can he make it to the playoffs? Yeah. Can he, is there going to be a point where there's a nagging injury that basically starts to slow him down?
Oh yeah, it definitely will be. I mean, it's a running back position. Every running back in the league ends up with one of those.
And that, watching the Ravens running back core and see if they can get it, because it always feels like if they could just find that running back, they could go. And then if they get a young guy, he has ridiculous injuries. Like J.K. Dobbins always felt like he could almost be that guy, and he's just never been able to stay healthy whatsoever. And now he gets to go do that in the Chargers. Gus Edwards is the starting running back for the Chargers right now. He's 29 years old.
That's, like I said, that's geriatric in running back.
These Harbaughs are relying on some
older running backs.
Backs.
And at least the Jim Harbaugh, he's a kind of run heavy offense as well too. One thing that worries me about the Ravens also, but the Ravens are also out that 5-year window. John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson have been, starting quarterback and head coach combo for outside of that 5-year window. So I think that's hurting them right now too. But they lost their entire defensive staff basically. Their defensive coordinator Mike McDonald, he went to the Seahawks, right? Zach Orr, he was their linebacker coach. He's now the Ravens DC, so he's there, but he got bumped up from a linebacker coach. Anthony Weaver, he's now the Dolphins DC. He left, and then Denard Wilson, who we talk about a lot, is now the Titans defensive coordinator there. So they lost a lot of their staff, a lot of that think tank on the defensive side of the ball too. All right, another what the facts, what the stats, since we got a couple of minutes here. How about this? According to Game Time, Game Time is a sports website, sports entertainment website. They say, according to them in their research, the Texas-Michigan game, the most expensive ticket is $2,537, and the cheapest ticket is $235, according to them. The cheapest and the most expensive ticket for the Texas-Michigan game. I know a lot of folks heading up to that game. We talked about Megan Fancy Boots heading up there, driving up there. My man CJ Vogel's heading up there, I believe, tomorrow or today. So a lot of folks making that trip up to Michigan. If you are driving, please be safe. But heading up there to support the Longhorns, man, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. I wonder how big that burnt orange section is going to be for Texas in the big house. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Another number. Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just curious because, as we said, that it seems that there's not as much Michigan confidence. I wonder if some of those Michigan people are trying to sell off those tickets. Just go, I'll just go. If it's, I can get $1,000, sell off some tickets, and Texas fans will pay. Sell them off.
That's a good point.
I wonder if that'll happen or not.
Yeah, especially if they expect their team to get beat. You don't want to beat everybody get beat bad.
Not if you can make some good money.
Now you right. So yeah, you see, you had a chance to make money, lost out on the profit, and watch your team get shellacked. You don't want that. No, you
I'll
think your
watch
team's gonna
that
get
from
beat that
home,
bad?
counting my money.
Yes, yes, exactly right. No, that's a good point, Patrick. I agree with you about that. How about this one? For the first time since the line opened in May, the Texans are now up to -3 at the Colts in Week 1. That line started, I think, at -1.5. The Texans were, so now it's up to 3. That's at the Colts. So people, I don't know, that money's shifting. People are really confident in the Texans on the road in Week 1. Also, that line for the Texas Michigan game is still at 7.5. It's holding steady at 7.5.
It jumped up there though.
It jumped up pretty quick, and I thought it may climb a little bit more because it seems like everything that I'm looking at, people are growing more and more confident. Now, some people are picking double digit. Like Texas pulls away, like 31-17 or something like that. And I'm not saying it can't happen. That Michigan defense, it's really good. They get 4 or 5 NFL players, but they pulled away from Bama in Tuscaloosa.
They did.
So for me to say they can't beat Michigan by double digits, that's crazy. Of course they can. If you beat Nick Saban and Bama by double digits in Tuscaloosa, then you can beat Michigan by double digits in Ann Arbor. You can do it, especially this Michigan team, because they got no way to score a lot of points.
Yeah, the Alabama offense, even though Milroe wasn't great, is better than what this Michigan offense is.
Hell, we got some players from that offense. We like them so much. You got Isaiah Bond, and I'm like, you like, no, actually, those guys are awesome. I don't think Texas take any of the players from Michigan's offense.
Yeah, Loveland.
Loveland is the only one. Yep, that's it. On the outside, Loveland's the guy.
That's it. But that's who they take.
I think Loveland's the guy. You're right. That's the one. That's what I'm saying. That's they one. That's they one. But yeah, I mean, I agree. And Milroe was dynamic at throwing the football downfield. And they made a lot of plays against Texas in the vertical passing game. They chunked it downfield a ton against Texas and connected with Mari Knobloch on a deep one. But they had Burton also. Remember Burton, who's was the Georgia transfer? Is it Jermaine Burton? I believe it. He's in the NFL now too. He's an NFL player.
Putting people there.
Yeah, Michigan doesn't have any. I don't know if they have any NFL players at the wide receiver position that would impress me.
I mean,
but Colston Loveland's he's a dog. He's a truth. He's a real deal.
No, the only Michigan wide receiver you need to know is Nico Collins. That's
nice connection. I like that. All right, we come back. We'll get into some NFL headlines, lots of them, and including this Ricky Pearsall story. It is just a miraculous story coming out of San Francisco. We'll hit that. We'll talk about the connection that Trent Williams has to that story and his contract negotiations being settled. Yes, of course, he got his money, but he was inspired to be back with his team, and we'll tell you why that was the case. We'll also give you an update on the Jamar Chase contract negotiations. There's a rumor out there about what the figure that Jamar Chase and his people that they are demanding in this in this contract negotiation. So we'll talk about that too. And of course, we got Behind the Burn Orange Curtain, where we will dive deep into the X's and O's and the matchup between Texas and Michigan. All that and more right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Low and Rod Babers coming back on the Horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. One Artist Wednesday. That's when Patrick, my co-hosting Idealionaire, he comes up with all the musically themed days of the week. But a One Artist Wednesday is when he goes deep down the rabbit hole into the catalog of one specific artist, group, or band. And today, that group or band, the Bee Gees. Pretty nice. The Bee Gees, do they classify as some yacht rock too?
No, I think they're more disco. They're more in
Okay.
that disco
Right.
realm.
I guess some. All right, just getting some yacht rock and feel.
There's a little bit of I can understand the feel. I think if you slip some of this stuff in there, it wouldn't be.
It wouldn't.
Be, but I don't think their whole
complain.
I think they have a lot of stuff that would be too upbeat and too dancey.
Yeah, too upbeat with it. I got you. All right, yeah, no doubt. All right, there you go. Patrick always hooking us up on a One Artist Wednesday. He also comes up with the topic for the Big Fat Poll of the day. Patrick, give the folks the topic for the Big Fat Poll of the day.
Big Fat Poll of the day today. How many rushing yards will Texas have against Michigan? That is your Big Fat Poll of the day. And we gave you the 4 options of 0 to 100, 100 to 150, 150 to 200, and 200 plus. Got a couple people drinking the Kool-Aid there for the 200 plus.
200 plus. Ooh.
But 100 to 150 is leading the way pretty heavily with 64% of the vote. Then 0 to 100, second place, and then 150 to 200. So a little bit more reality there based in the 100 to 150 realm. Feels a little bit more acceptable of an answer.
Yeah. They're just trying to keep them honest with the running game. I don't expect Texas to have a dominant running game, especially early on. I think those D tackles will be hyped. They got Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant inside, Josiah Stewart on the edge. He's a really good player. I mean, the best players on this team are on the defensive side of the ball. That's where all their leadership is. So I think early on they'll be able to win their fair share in the running game, win more than their fair share actually against Texas in the running game. And Texas, I think they're going to come out throwing early. I've already said that. That's what we saw even in the Colorado State game. Early down pass rate should be hovering around 58 to 60% against Michigan. And you can still throw the screen. Screen game is going to be big early on because they want to apply a lot of pressure. And if they're going to have these exotic pressure packages, screen game is going to be big. Your quick game, ball coming out really fast, that's going to be important. I mean, Quinn's average time to throw versus Colorado was 2.17 seconds. I mean, that ball was out quick. To give you perspective on that, 2.17 seconds, ball was out. Carson Beck was at 2.38 seconds. Shadur Sanders was at 2.9 seconds. Just guys who are also considered to be high draft picks.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel in his system, he was the only one faster. He was at 2.16 seconds average time to throw in week 1.
But he didn't look as well. He didn't work as well there.
No. And Jalen Daniels was around there from Kansas at 2.17 seconds. Riley Leonard, but he was among the Riley Leonard was at 2.14 seconds. Their passing game didn't look great. But he's among the fastest in terms of time to throw, fastest average time to throw in the country. That means he's on time and he's within rhythm. But remember what I said yesterday? They're going to apply a lot more pressure than Colorado State did. Colorado State only got to Quinn twice. They only applied pressure to him on 2 snaps, 2 downs. But if you go look at the pressure to sack rate, it ended up being 50% because he was sacked 1 time. He was pressured twice, sacked once. And the other play where he was pressured was an interception. So if Quinn Ewers is on time and he's within rhythm, he's dangerous. If you can get him to hold on to the ball a little bit longer and then get some pressure on him, that's when the odds start to flip in your favor defensively. So if you are Wink Martindale, you're thinking, all right, they got 2 pressures on them. We need to try to get 15 to 16 pressures on them, and then let's see where the chips fall.
Yeah,
and let's see if he's got pressure twice versus Colorado State, and then it resulted in a sack, and then a sack, and then a interception. All right, let's get to him 15 to 20 times, and let's see if we can get 3-4 plays that can change the game for us. A sack, or a big time tackle for loss, or a forced fumble, or a strip sack, or an interception for us. And that, I think, is going to be and I said yesterday, that's the biggest factor, in my opinion, in Texas winning this game. How does Quinn handle the pressure? He's got to handle it better than he did versus Colorado State. He's got to handle it better than he did last season. And if he does, Texas going to roll. They will. I think Texas will roll if he can handle the pressure, because that's what Wink Martindale does better, or as well, as any defensive coordinator at the college or the pro level. He applies pressure, whether that be via the blitz, simulated pressures, whether that be different exotic pressure packages. That's what he's going to do for a quarterback. He's going to make sure that they have to operate under duress. And that's what we got to see from Quinn, operating under duress, making good decisions, and making plays under duress. And versus Colorado State, he was great. He was rarely under duress at all because the system was operating at peak efficiency. But the 2 times that he was under duress, he did not respond well. Can't have that in Michigan. Can't have that. Yes, that's like I said yesterday, that is going to be the conundrum. I think he's going to be great because he and one thing about Quinn, in big games, he shows up in big games. Like, his big games are some of his best games. The big games. Now, has he made mistakes in some of the big games? Yeah, you saw an interception in the Oklahoma game. So he's made some mistakes in big games. I'm not saying he's been perfect, but man, that Bama game, his second career, right? What was that Bama game? Like his second career start, that Bama game, something like that.
Yeah.
Second or third career start. He had a 90 Pro Football Focus grade in the first quarter. Because he didn't play that long. He ended up playing a quarter and a half in that game. And then when he played Bama the second time, 90 grade versus Alabama. 3 big time throws, 0 turnover worthy plays in that game versus Bama last season. And I mean, essentially, you're talking about a team that had multiple first round draft picks on it, Dallas Turner and Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry, and a GOAT defensive mind calling the plays, or at least overseeing the defense, in Nick Saban. And you get the best Quinn Ewers performances or 2 of the better performances that we've seen in his career. And the Oklahoma game was kind of like that after he recovered from the early turnovers in that game. We started to see Quinn, be the best version of himself. He's good in big games, but you got to get him in a rhythm early. And I think for Sark, that's why you're going to see the early down pass rate pretty high. And hopefully he's getting rid of the ball quickly and operating within the system. But Sark's going to want to take some shots. And I want to know how Sark's going to dial up the shots. Remember, they're starting safety, who was supposed to start the season as one of their all-conference safeties, Rod Moore. He had a season-ending injury, NFL caliber guy, season-ending injury, just like in training camp. So safeties, maybe something you can attack. And even the cornerback spot opposite Will Johnson. But Sark will not shy away from Will Johnson, I assure you, because Fresno State didn't shy away from him either. He's the best corner in college football, but Fresno State actually made some plays against Will Johnson. We'll give you that, and we'll talk about that when we go behind the burnt orange curtain. Really quick, before we get to the Horn headlines, shout out to at Texas Fancy Boots in the Twitterverse. But Megan, she drove up, or is driving up. I assume she might be close, and if she's not, please be safe on the road there, Megan. But she sent me an update. We were talking, Patrick, your theory that if Michigan fans aren't confident in their team, that if the average ticket price is really high, because I think we just pointed out the most expensive tickets like $2,300, something like that.
Yeah.
And if the Michigan fans aren't confident in their team, and maybe Vegas and this 7.5 point spread may be an indicator of that they may want to watch the game at home, may want to sell their tickets, and not want to watch their team get shellacked in their big house. She says here that the courtesy of Longhorn Frenzy, that there are some Michigan fans who are asking other Michigan fans to stop selling their tickets to Texas fans.
Yeah.
Because Texas fans got some bread, as we know. It's a very affluent fan base, especially the ones that want to get out there and travel. Yeah. And they were like, hey, no, I'll pay you. They'll pay you top dollar.
That happens more times than it should in college sports. But yeah. Where they're like, man, they're offering really good money for these tickets. I gotta take the money. You gotta like, especially there's people that had tickets for a long time and stuff. They're like, man, you're paying for half my season tickets to sell one game, or all my season tickets to sell one game, and I go the rest of the season for free now.
I got a family, man. Come on.
Come on,
I
man. I
love
got
this
free
team, but
gas.
got
It's
kids.
one game.
Got some bills to pay. It's one game. Yeah, no, I that's so to prove your point that you made earlier. I think you are getting some Michigan fans who are deciding, nah, I think
Love
I'd
it.
rather take the cash
Love it.
and I'd rather watch it at the crib. So thank you very much, Megan. At Texas Fancy Boots, y'all should follow. She's worth the follow. She's great. And a lot of Longhorn fans headed up there, so y'all please be safe on that road. All right, before we dive into some NFL headlines, let's get updated, informed, and educated with all the top stories of the day with Patrick Davis and the Horn Headlines.
All right, your Horn Headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. In the MLB, the Astros resumed their series with the Reds today, sending August AL Rookie of the Month Spencer Arrighetti to the mound. And Astros manager Joe Espada has stated that Kyle Tucker could finally return to play as early as today after being sidelined since June with a broken shin. The Rangers tied their series with the Yankees in dramatic fashion. With one out in the bottom of the ninth, down by one with the bases loaded, Wyatt Langford became the first Ranger rookie in history to hit a walk-off grand slam, winning the game 7-4. Nathan Eovaldi will try to close out the series with a win for the Rangers tonight. And in the NFL, Trent Williams ended his holdout with the 49ers and Williams agreeing on a restructured $82 million deal that includes $48 million in guarantees and $25 million signing bonus. Williams will now be the highest paid offensive lineman this season, making over $27 million. And in college football, the week 2 AP poll was released with Georgia still at number 1, followed by Ohio State, Texas at number 3, and Alabama at 4. Notre Dame jumped 2 spots to 5, while Florida State becomes the third team to go from a top 10 preseason team to unranked in the first regular season poll since the rankings expanded to 25 in 1989. And that is your Horn Headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn Headlines. This story actually does relate to the Trent Williams signing, and it's a crazy story, miraculous one. But Ricky Pearsall, the 49ers first-round pick at receiver they drafted, he over the weekend was shot, and in a attempted robbery, he was shot. They were trying to steal his Rolex, reportedly, and he was shot. The 17-year-old suspect, who reportedly is being accused of the crime, he is now facing a bunch of charges, including attempted murder, assault with a semi-automatic firearm, and attempted second-degree robbery among the charges that he's facing. Just 17-year-old, so there's a big discussion about him being a minor and all this stuff, and they got to look at his record and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, Ricky Pearsall, guys, he already has been released from the hospital after getting shot in the chest. He was released from the hospital Sunday and was back at the team facility on Monday. Guys, he got shot in the chest and was back at the facility on Monday, early this week. He was placed on the non-football injury list, which will sideline him for at least 4 weeks. But they are right now making plans for him to play. As soon as he recovers, he's had a shoulder injury. I don't know if it's from the incident or separate. I believe it was before that. He was missing time because of the shoulder injury. But now, so he can recover from being shot in the chest. His mom put out a statement via social media, says, "Update on my baby boy. First and foremost, I want to thank God for protecting my baby boy. He is extremely lucky. God shielded him. He was shot in the chest and exited out his back. Thanks be to God, it missed his vital organs. He is in good spirits right now. Life is so precious, my friends. Please love each other. My son was spared today by the grace of God. Please pray for my baby." Wow. Dude's back at the facility on Monday after getting shot over the weekend in the chest. It's unbelievable. What a miraculous story. And so this miracle, tragedy, brings people together. And I think at one point people thought it was going to be a tragic story because initially all that came out was he was shot in chest, taken to the hospital. He's like, oh man, shot in chest, not a good sign. But he miraculously, in stable conditions, able to survive, walk out of the hospital, back at the team facility to the point where they believe he's going to play again. Kind of reminds me of that Brian Robinson story with Washington. Remember, he was shot in a robbery attempt, also by some teens.
Yep.
What the hell? It was a couple of teens, I believe, at the time.
They think they were trying to carjack him.
Yeah. And he ended up playing that next season.
Yep.
Or
He
that
got,
season.
and he got shot in the legs, I believe.
Yes, which, I mean, anyway, you're getting shot and you're able to play football that season, that is a miracle in itself. But for Ricky Pearsall, apparently this miraculous story, of course, is bringing the team together because it is obviously something that just touches, I think, everybody on a lot of different levels. You're talking about someone's life and humanity and all those sort of things, and the kind of, the existential, really the, meaning of what we all deal with here, right? What's purpose of life and, how precious life is and all that kind of stuff. So things that are way deeper than football and sports talk. So Trent Williams, he hears about this story, and Ricky Pearsall hadn't been his teammate that long. Matter of fact, they had only met once because remember, he was holding out, so he wasn't even really around the team that often. But he was touched by the story of Ricky Pearsall surviving this shooting miraculously. And he says it was a big part of why he decided to bring his contract negotiations to an end and get them resolved so he could be with his team. Here's Trent Williams.
Honestly, to be real, I felt more compelled to come back after that than anything because, I've never experienced that, like in my playing career, to have a teammate, shot, so to speak. So in my mind, I'm like, man, I just want to get around the team. Like Ricky stood out to me because when I popped in for OTAs for 30 minutes I was here, he did like go out of his way to come and introduce himself to me, in which we was going to meet each other eventually. But, I'm getting there. There's 90 guys on the team. I'm just walking down. I don't really know everybody just yet. So for him to come up and kind of introduce, and I just instantly felt his vibe and, could just feel he's such a genuine person. So when I seen that happen, I'm like, man, I just want to give back. I just want to be, a voice in his ear, let him know everything going to be all right. I'll be there for the team. A lot of people probably hurt and confused about what happened and thinking that am I next, So I wanted to be around for that. But, my message is just to realize you're a target. And this world is a hard place. It's a very, very, very harsh place. And I think sometimes we are shielded from reality. And, for better or worse, whatever the reason is, we can be. So just staying in the moment and realizing that, your life is more important than anything that you can wake up and put on. So just always keep that eye out, man, and just know that there's people out here that don't really value human life. You just got to be aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, the part at the end there, like, your life is more valuable than anything you could put on. I think he's referring to like the jury and like, because I think they were trying to rob him for a Rolex. And I remember when I went to the league, drafted by the Giants, and they were telling the young guys a story about, I won't mention the player's name, player signed big deal, was going around the city, flashy stuff, right? Really nice car, flashing a lot of jewelry, a lot of diamonds. And they said at one point he was walking out of the club. I think he was walking down a back alley or something. And they said some dude came up to him and doused him in gasoline, held a Zippo up to him. It's like, just give me everything or I'll throw the Zippo on you. Crazy. Right? It just and he was being targeted just because, he was flashy. He had a lot of stuff. And you should have the freedom to flash whatever you want, but just know it's going to make you a target. And I'm not saying that was the case for Ricky Pearsall. They don't even know if the suspect knew who he was. He might just seen the bling and was like, I want that. So they've told us stories about guys in the league too who become targets, and it's not necessarily all their fault. You can just be, honestly, guys, it can happen to all y'all too. I mean, y'all have heard stories about people being followed home from ATMs and stuff like that, followed home from the bank. Like you should always kind of be aware of that kind of stuff. But in the NFL, and I'm sure all professional athletes have to deal with this, and if you are like a public figure like that, or if you choose to, flash, all right, bling bling. Yeah, man, you gotta make sure you're be aware and make sure. That's why a lot of guys have protection Like I'm literally like they roll with a group, they roll with a entourage. Like I don't need roll solo. I got a lot of bling. You see a lot of rappers, they may have a lot of bling on. They don't roll solo. They got a lot of dudes around them. They got, they got protection around them. And so it has something that in the NFL they warn you about. Rookie Symposium, that was one of the sections of the Rookie Symposium is, you don't want to flash too much in, they said mostly in major cities, but it can be in any city. And I was in like Detroit and Chicago and New York. You might want to watch it. There's some, there's a serious criminal element in those places. And just because you're an NFL player doesn't necessarily shield you from it. So there you go. Trent Williams talking about it. And Trent Williams said he was basically inspired to come back to the team. Now, this thing about Trent Williams has been through something. Remember Trent Williams, and this is crazy. This is how Washington's just a dysfunctional organization. Remember in 2019 when he held out the entire year with Washington because of personal grievances and contractual they were like contractual reasons for some, and the grievance that he had was regarding a growth. It was like a cancerous growth on his head, and the team essentially mistreated, mishandled, whatever, downplayed it, and it was determined by private doctors that it was indeed like life-threatening, that it was cancer. And then that's what led to the trade to the 49ers. Washington drafted the best offensive lineman in the league. And because of their lack of empathy or as an organization, just kind of the dysfunction overall, he became aggrieved and basically demanded to be traded. People forget that part of the Trent Williams story. So he's a guy that's dealt with his own mortality as well with that situation, and probably felt even more compelled as a teammate when another teammate's dealing with a situation where your own mortality is something that comes into play, that he wanted to be around his teammates at the time. So something's going on with the 49ers. Brandon Ayuk, we have this Brandon Ayuk sound. He was recently talking to the media about his very tense negotiations with the 49ers and admitted basically that he was kind of being a diva and he made things difficult toward the end of those negotiations for the 49ers. Here's Brandon Ayuk.
They were sounding very frustrated. But John said at that time that, once things get done, it's like kind of everything is forgotten. I don't know if you felt any Bruce feelings during this time, but is it true? Like once everything's done, you're like, I love y'all?
I think I'm not gonna lie, I made it a little bit more difficult than it needed to at the end. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was like that for me. I'm not gonna say the whole entire time, but for about the past month, I think we were pretty good.
There you go. Admitting, a bit of contrition there that, hey, it was me. I was being a little bit difficult. So I don't know if the drama happening, all this drama with the 49ers is good or bad. Not really sure. But there is a lot of drama, unusual amount of drama happening with the 49ers. You got Shannon hanging out with Rick Ross, with I have no idea, with a pimp cane, and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk there kicking it. You got Trent Williams coming back, inspired by the miraculous recovery of one of his teammates who got shot. Ricky Pearsall is going to be back with the team at one point, I'm assuming, and playing on the field after being shot through the chest. It's a lot. It's a lot of drama. So it could end up being something that brings everybody together, or it could be distracting for a team like that. I assume it's going to bring the 49ers closer together. That's my assumption, but you never know. Never know. But there's a lot going on with the 49ers right now. All right. Also a lot going on with Jamar Chase and his contract negotiations with the Cincinnati Bengals. So there is talk that this is a rumor, more rumor than report, that the Jamar Chase figure for at least what his team is demanding in their contract negotiations is 1 penny, 1 cent more than the Justin Jefferson deal. Literally take the Justin Jefferson deal and give me 1 penny more than him, and the deal is done. That's the report. And Justin Jefferson went on with Kay Adams, and she asked him straight up about this rumor, And I don't know if they confirmed it, but they definitely didn't deny it. Here is Justin Jefferson.
I haven't really talked to him about it too much, but I'm pretty sure or confident that he's gonna, be about his business and show up when he needs to show up. And I mean, I hope that he gets the deal and hope that he gets the contract that he's looking for. But I also hope that he plays it smart and not let it get in the way of his greatness and being on that field.
It's really real sad. Let's look ahead. He gets paid. He gets a penny more than you. What does the text to him say?
I'm not gonna say what I really want to say, but I mean, it's always congratulations. It's always love, especially on my end, about my brothers that is making good in this league and making a name for themselves. And I mean, we always talked about that. We always talked about it in the receiving room at LSU, and said that we were able to be on that same platform as some of the top guys that were in the league while we were watching the film at LSU. So to see it all come to life and for us to fulfill our dreams is definitely heartwarming.
All right, there you go. So, rumored that Jamar Chase just wants one penny more than the Justin Jefferson deal. That'd be pretty wild. That'd be pretty cool. And I don't know if that's ever happened to former teammates in college who are the first and second highest paid at their position in the league. Like what? How could that happen? Like there's no way that's happened before, right? Like that's no way. It just wouldn't. That's no. How could it? I'm just trying to think of how many schools would have had rooms that loaded, that close together, right? They were teammates in college and then go to the league and end up being the first and second highest paid players at their position. There's no way that's happened in history.
No,
I could be off about
no.
that. I'm not even gonna do the research because I just
I mean, like I would say, like maybe two DNs could have done it at some point.
I guess you're right. Like Bama or Georgia could have some.
Two
like
offensive linemen.
Yeah, you're right. I gotta go research. You could have like some in them guards or something.
Yeah,
end up doing
like
that.
there could have been some, but yeah, it would have been difficult. Like it's not skill position wise. It seems really hard.
Seems like it'd be tough, but anyway, but that could happen. I mean, I think it's actually gonna happen because even if Jamar Chase doesn't get more than Justin Jefferson, he'll get right underneath. He'll get right under him.
Yeah.
CD's at 34, so he'll get more than CD, a little bit more than CD, 34.2 or whatever it may be. All right, let's get to the break because we got to start breaking down this Texas-Michigan matchup. Let's look at the Michigan offense, and I'll tell you what player Texas has to shut down to choke the life out of the Michigan passing game. Yes, you're not really worried about the passing game, but the passing game funnels through one guy at Michigan. You stop this guy, you pretty much shut down the passing game. And you can shut down the running game and shut down this one guy in the passing game. Michigan's got nothing else. They got nothing. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about the Texas defense and what their strategy should be versus that Michigan offense. All of that and more right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get behind the burnt orange curtain, talk some Texas football here. I want to get into the Texas defensive matchup versus the Michigan offense, and the Michigan offense it's not totally one. It's not just one dimensional, but it's definitely a run first, run oriented offense. Their identity is going to be in the power run game, and that game versus Fresno State, if it is any indicator of how anemic the passing game is, I think it's going to make Texas game plan pretty simple defensively. Now, the passing game, I want to start talking because I think the running game, I think it's simple. You got to try to stop the run. That's your number one priority. And I feel like the new collaboration between PK and Johnny Nansen is going to ultimately, first and foremost, try to take away a team's strength. Now, it could be just going off a very small sample size, but that's what they did so effectively versus Colorado State. They just took away their strength, took away Torrey Horton, who was their primary receiver, and took away the passing game, which is their identity offensively, and forced them to have to beat you left-handed. And yes, they were able to get a 100-yard rusher, and they made some plays in the run game, but essentially they weren't a threat as a running team. They really didn't pose much of a threat because that's not their bread and butter. That's not how they want to win. That's not how they were constructed or built as a team. They're an air raid team. Take the air out of it. All right. And then you left with what you saw on Saturday, 52-0 shellacking. That's what Texas did. They took the air out of the football and forced you to run the football. It made you a run raid team, and you ain't good at that. All right. So I think if I'm basing off, kind of my prediction of what the game plan is going to be, I think that's what you do defensively. You take away their run game and you load that box. I wouldn't be surprised to see some penny fronts. It's kind of a 5-man front across the line of scrimmage. Sometimes it can be, 3 down with 5 bare fronts. You can do that too with 3 interior essentially pieces where you got the center covered and both guards covered up, and you're signaling to the offense, I am not going to let you run up the gut. You're not going to run in the interior. It's just not happening. All right. Just you're going to have to choose to run through the C and the D gaps. You're not coming through the A and the B gaps. And then you can funnel, if you will, kind of funnel the run game to your edges and funnel it to your linebackers in that regard. So there's a lot that Johnny Nansen and PK can do. I remember looking at some of the Johnny Nansen film, and he does have from the side of Arizona, he does have a 5-down package that he once utilized there at Arizona when he was going up against a run-heavy attack. So it's in his repertoire if he wants to break it out. And against Michigan, that may be the team. You're going to play a lot of 40 personnel with some refer to as base, with 4 DBs and 7 front defenders, whether that be 3 down with 4 linebackers or 4 down with 3 linebackers. Hell, you can do 5 down if you want to with 2 linebackers. You can get really funky with them and say, hey man, we're gonna account for every gap, total gap integrity. Boom, you get nothing across the board. We're gonna stretch everything out to the sideline, let our speed go make those plays. So I think you load the box and stop the run. I would give them the one-on-ones on the outside. I'd give it to them because I don't think they can take advantage of it. Against Fresno State, on 10-plus yard throws, Davis Warren and Alex Orji, because Orji, I guess, was in there as a wildcat quarterback at times. 1 of 5. 1 of 5 on passes. So 20% completion percentage on passes, 10 yards or more. You did have 10 yards, and you have 1 interception anytime you try to throw the ball past 10 yards. 1 of 5, 10 yards, and 1 interception. On the 1 10-yard completion they had, it was to Loveland, and he could be a problem. I think he might be the best tight end in college football. He had 9 targets in that game versus Fresno State. He is the passing game. He was the passing game. He had 9 targets in that game versus Fresno State, and he had 8 catches. The other one he didn't catch was a drop. He dropped it. According to Pro Football Focus, 9 targets. His average depth of target was just 6 yards, so he's not going far downfield. Once again, keeping with the theme, they don't throw it vertically down the field. He did have a 20-yard catch, according to them. He did have the one drop. They have him here with 5 first downs out of his 8 catches.
Yeah, it's 4 first downs and a touchdown.
Yeah, so I bet basically, yeah. So his 5 first downs, touchdowns, 5 first downs. So 5 of his 8 catches were either for a first down or a touchdown. That is crazy. So he's really productive. About 50% or a little bit over of his snaps were out wide or in the slot. So he had 80 receptions for 87 yards, and the rest of the team had 80 receptions for 34 yards. He could be the first. He will be the first tight end taken, I believe. He could be a first-round pick, though, at tight end. He's that good. So Texas got to figure out a way to stop him. Here's my idea. And I'm glad Texas, my suggestion last year was, hey, start moving Jahdae Barron around based on the matchup. Now, they did a little last year. Remember, they moved him around to corner, I think, in that K-State game from the nickel spot. They in the U of H game, they put him at a corner spot. Remember, he came back in after he didn't start the game because of an injury. So, and Sark has, lately been talking about the versatility, the buzzword of that secondary. And they have taken my advice from last season. Even last game, Sark said they had him prepared, Jahdae, prepared to play corner, nickel, and safety. He was prepared to play all of them, but he ended up playing just corner and nickel in the game against Colorado State. If you want, and I've said this before too, if you want him to be a Thorpe Award finalist, you need a story to sell. Like to the public, to promote and market him so people know who Jahdae Barron is. Just not enough for him to go out there and make plays. Got to make plays in big games. He'll take care of that, but you still need to promote and market him in a certain way. And my theory was, hey, promote and market him as the most versatile defensive back in the country. And I think they're going down that path. This game would be key because if you're going to end up with 4 DBs on the field, there's a chance Colston Loveland is going to be who they, obviously funnel their passing game through. And if he's matched up on a Taft Daddy or matched up on Makuba, I don't know if I like those matchups. Those guys I think can cover, but he's big. Colston Loveland's like 6'5". He can just box you out, big body you. He's got really good catch rate. He's really good hands. He can just throw them up, jump balls. I like Jahdae Barron there a little bit more because I think Jahdae's a little thicker. You go look at Jahdae. Jahdae's got some thickness. So he's thicker than Makuba. Makuba's a little light. He's a better cover man than Taft Daddy. So if it ends up being where your safety ends up having to cover that tight end, I'd rather that be Jahdae Barron. Now, Derek Williams, I think, can do it too. He's a little bit longer and rangier. You need some length. You're going to need a little bit of mass, some girth going up against Colston Loveland because, like I said, he's big and he's an NFL tight end. So imagine the storyline, though, that naturally evolves within the first 2 games of the season. Jahdae Barron has already played nickel, played corner, and played safety and help you shut down Colston Loveland, a potential first-round tight end, and help you shut down Torrey Horton, and draftable prospect at wide receiver in the Colorado State game. To me, that's how you start to form the narrative that he's the most versatile defensive back in the country, and you would have evidence to suggest that. And then every broadcast, every big game, they'd have their own little vignette of him and how versatile he is and look at what the position he plays and how NFL scouts love his versatility and multiplicity. Boom. And I think it would help you win this game. I think they might already be thinking about it, but if you have issues covering Loveland, move Jahdae Barron over there, wherever it is. Just move him over there and let Jahdae Barron take on that burden of that task. Because he's the only threat that really can hurt you. Everything else, I don't think they can throw the football downfield very successfully. So I would trust my corners. Be on an island. You guys are matched up a lot of the time in man-to-man. You can play off and flat foot read it so that you don't give up the easy completions because pretty much that's all that passing game has proven they can do. Or you can come up and play some press and take away the easy completions at times and see if they can make NFL throws over the top, between the boundary, between the numbers and the sideline in the boundary, and see if they can make those tough, small window throws with a safety potentially over the top. Because I don't really think they can do it. I don't think they have the sophistication in the passing game. Davis Warren, I don't know if he's got that capability either, and Alex Orji doesn't have it as a passer. So I would force those quarterbacks to beat you. The running game can't beat you. I stack the box against that. Go, bare fronts, penny fronts, whatever you got to do. 5-man fronts, doesn't matter. Take the run game away. Force them to beat you with the passing game because I don't think they can do it. Just that simple. And to me, that's how simple the game plan is. Stop the run at all costs by any means necessary, and neutralize Loveland. Force any other concept, any other player to beat you, and force those quarterbacks to beat you. I'll give them the one-on-ones. I'm giving it to you. You can have it because I don't think you can take it. I don't think you can take advantage of it. And if they do, then we'll adjust. And if you can't cover Michigan's wide receivers with that anemic passing game, we probably got bigger issues, that we'll have to address later on in the season. But that would be the way I would approach it. I think you gotta be hard line in your approach against that run. You can't allow that Michigan run game to get going. That's the lifeblood to the offense. You take that away, that playbook shrinks. It's like a third of what they usually use if they're in a second and long or a third and long. And that's what you need Michigan in a lot. If they're in second and medium, second and short, third and short, Michigan's winning. Well, at least I'm talking about they're winning those downs and those drives. They're winning that. But if they're in second and long and third and long, Texas got them right where they want them because that's not where Michigan wants to be. All right. Also, I pointed this out. You're going to see a lot of duo, power run game, 12 personnel, 22 personnel, 13 personnel, 1 back, 3 tight ends. You're going to see heavy sets and power run sets in this game. And duo is going to be one of their most popular runs. It's interesting. They use duo to set the tone to open up games. So you'll see it early. It's just a combo block at the point of attack. And Texas uses duo to close out games. It's their closer, but it's one of the openers for Michigan. Both use the concept really well. And I imagine, both know how to stop it, how to neutralize it. All right. Because both of them use it as a staple of the run play within their offense. All right. We'll come back. We'll get into off the record on the other side. It's crazy, wacky stories from the sports world, some beyond the sports world, right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Low and Rod Babers coming back on the Horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into a little off the record here. We haven't talked much about we have, but we haven't talked much lately about the WNBA and as we always talk about, of course, the growth of women's basketball with Caden Clark and really this kind of new era of women's basketball, this new class of ladies, but the Caitlin Clark effect, it has not died down. Like the WNBA is still reaping the benefits of them riding this wave of momentum for women's basketball. Them having more than a moment. When we talked about it, was it just a moment? Or are we talking about now kind of the transformation of like women's basketball in this country? Friday's Indiana Fever. This is from this last week, but Friday's Indiana Fever Chicago Sky game. It averaged 1.6 million viewers. Was the most watched WNBA telecast ever for the Ion Network. They continue to do it. I'll admit I have not been watching because it's football season. We're focused on stuff, but they're still hitting record numbers with attendance, with ratings for the WNBA. So the Caitlin Clark effect did not die out. We ain't talked about it a lot because we done stuff we're talking about. It's football season, but it has not died out. It's real.
It's still going.
Sustainability.
They've got a couple weeks left in the season, and then it'll be the playoffs. Indiana has clinched a playoff spot, so Caitlin Clark will be in the playoffs.
That's big.
Turned them around from the worst team in the league.
Damn, I was gonna say they were terrible. They were terrible to start the year too, though. That's the crazy part about it.
Yeah, what's funny too is you're seeing more and more people notice the difference between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark going into it. You're seeing the more and more of the Angel Reese can't shoot at all camp.
Oh man, I think I gave the stat. I forgot how long ago it was.
Not that long. I remember
here. Basically, if you go look at the players who have the most shots at the basket, I think within like 4 to 5 feet. She has the worst shooting percentage among the players with the most shots at the basket.
No, and that's they're leaving her open in more and more places now, just because they understand. It's basically you don't want her to be underneath the basket, but other than that,
don't let them leave her wide open wherever she is on the floor.
Yeah,
here's the stat. This is from the Athletic. It says Angel Reese is among the worst, if not the worst finisher in the league. Shots within, and this comes from shots within 5 feet. She has the most shots within 5 feet in the WNBA, and her shooting percentage is below 45% from 5 feet, which is also the worst in the WNBA. So most shots within 5 feet, worst shooting percentage among the leaders of shots within 5 feet. I don't know how that works. That's crazy. Caitlin Clark's at 62 to 63% within 5 feet. Brittany Griner's at 76% within 5 feet of the rim. There you go. All right, another story here. This is actually a cool sports story. Francis, I hope I get his name right. Tiafo. He has a chance. He's a top 20 player trying to become the first American male to win a Grand Slam in 20 years in tennis. Hadn't happened in 20 years. He's a great story. If he wins it, you're going to hear a lot about it. Parents immigrated to America. Dad worked like construction, helped build a tennis facility. And then he got free lessons as a result of that in tennis. And then that's how he became a young tennis prodigy. Because tennis is a really expensive sport. Training, travel, and tournaments. They say a youth career could cost you close to $500,000, $400,000 just to start your kid off. And you played tennis, didn't you?
Yeah, but not that kind of tennis.
That's different kind of tennis.
Yeah.
You play the free kind. What's the free tennis?
Much cheaper kind of tennis.
The pickup tennis. Pickup tennis is pick up a game here.
I did not play the. I was not having personal coaching sessions and all that stuff.
That's what they're talking about. And traveling to tournaments all over the country and the world. It says that even if you turn professional, only the world's top 150 players end up turning a profit after expenses because, it's a really expensive period. It says Francis Tiofo's parents were born in Western Africa, Sierra Leone. They immigrated to the U.S. after a civil war broke out in their home country. They settled in the suburb outside of Washington, D.C. That's where Francis was born. Francis' mom eventually found work as a nurse working night shifts. Dad became a day laborer on the construction crew building a nearby sports facility. And this is where it gets pretty interesting. The facility that Francis' dad helped build is the Junior Tennis Champion Center, one of the best youth tennis facilities in the country. And with Francis' dad doing a great job, the tennis facility hired him as a full-time custodian once construction was complete. But Francis' dad wanted extra cash, so he worked 2 jobs, cleaning the complex by day and taking care of the day courts at night. So they gave him 140 square foot spare office to sleep in. And with their mom working night shifts, Francis and his brother slept at the facility while their dad was working. Francis and his brother slept on the folding table while their dad slept on the other. Francis spent countless hours at the facility, and when he turned 5, he was enrolled free of charge because his dad was an employee there. And he was in the tennis clinic, and the rest basically is history. By the end of 8, youth coach Misha, I'm going to mispronounce the name, so I apologize. Misha Kolstefstov saw potential in Francis and agreed to coach him full time. They traveled to tournaments together. Then TFO rose through the ranks, and he then made his pro debut at 17 years old. He hasn't won a Grand Slam yet, but he has earned nearly $12 million in prize money without counting endorsement, and is currently ranked as the 20th best men's player in the world. And he also plays in the U.S. Open quarterfinals, I believe. Oh, he did play in the quarterfinals. So there you go. I mean, there you go. That's the story of Francis Tiofo, who's kind of a tennis prodigy, if you will. All right. There you go. Off the record. We'll come back. We'll get into actually we got Setlist ATX with my man Nick Shuley coming up. Then we'll dive into some Cowboys news, notes, and nuggets. There's an update on the Dak Prescott contract negotiations. Jerry Jones saying the quiet part out loud. Doesn't he always? And we'll also have Rod's rant of the day. We'll talk more about Texas versus Michigan. We are loaded on the other side right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Low Rod Davis coming back on the horn. Welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a One Artist Wednesday edition of the Rodcast. That's when my co-host, the Idealionaire, Patrick Davis, comes up with all the musically themed days of the week. But on a One Artist Wednesday, he goes deep down the rabbit hole into the specific catalog of one artist or a group or a band. And today we are celebrating the Bee Gees on a One Artist Wednesday. And yeah, this still bangs, still goes hard, man. Staying alive. It's still to this day. I mean, decades later. Still jams.
Still works.
That's hard to do. That's hard to do. Like literally to have something that can transcend decades and still be jamming. When did this song come out in 70s?
Yeah, 70s.
Mid
yeah, I
70s.
believe Saturday Night Fever was 77.
Yeah, so like mid to later 70s, and that's wild that you can play it right now.
Yeah.
And I bet you can play it like randomly in the club, and people be like, yeah, actually, young people. Like they'd be like, oh man, it's a jam. I like this. It's amazing. Like I said, that's tough to do. Because some music that was banging back then, like, oh, I see why it jammed back then.
Yeah, exactly.
It don't jam now. It ain't jamming today. That's still jam.
Still,
like that's
still jam.
you still break out and dance. They play that. You like, oh man, I gotta get my groove on.
You feel it, and it's also what the CPR, the song you're supposed to sing while you're doing CPR.
Oh yeah.
That it gives you the right beats.
The right tempo.
Yeah, the right tempo for the compressions.
Stand alive. That's a great Office episode.
Yes. You start singing the chorus.
Oh, yeah. That is great. That is fantastic. Yes, good stuff there, Patrick. I didn't even think about that. I forgot all about that. What an iconic scene. All right, for those who are not fans of The Office, I apologize for this.
I mean, it is technically an actual thing. It is supposed to be the right
I know,
tempo for doing CPR.
But I think
but
if
that
you're an
scene
Office
for
fan,
The Office is, yes.
automatically go to The Office scene. Yeah, you're right. Actually, because I'm taking some CPR class. I probably should take some more. I probably should get brushed up on that. Actually, was the last time you took a CPR class? You remember what to do and everything?
Probably
if somebody chokes in front of you. I had to take one right before baby girl was
a
born.
whole different class.
Yeah, but when I was a CPR, we do they do them both. I think it's like a safety whatever class. Yeah, so they teach you the Heimlich, they teach you CPR, and we did it right before baby girl because then they got the baby version of it, which is very different than then you take the actual version that if an adult's in that situation. So I did it actually maybe 4 years ago I did it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I probably should try to brush up on it. I always figure if somebody is choking near me, or if somebody passes out and needs, me to perform CPR, that I would like to think that I am up to the task. Because if you're not, you shouldn't even try. You shouldn't be arrogant and be like, I think I got it. I remember it kind of. Like, no. If somebody actually knows how to do it, you should let them do it.
Yeah.
You're saying
you don't want me with a YouTube video open. Just trying to so here.
Okay. I don't know. I don't need that. I want somebody who can jump right into action and know exactly what to do. And I would like to think I'm one of those people. But right now, I'll admit, like I got to brush up on it, so I'll know. Hey, these are the steps. Boom, 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 and you're confident when you're doing it, so that you can help save somebody's damn life. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, we were doing a show. And me and Harj actually won't. I remember this.
No, I was in studio because I remember this happening. But I was in studio.
Yes, it did. We were at the Pluckers doing a remote, and two random guys who were just there, kind of hanging out, listening to the show. And one of the guys there started choking on a boneless wing, and one of the other patrons there at the Pluckers location, they saw him choking and really just went into action, performed the Heimlich. Boom, and saved his life right in front of us. I was on some hot sports take at the time, and I was like, what? I was like, bro, I think this guy's choking real time, and he saved his life in front of our face. And I was like, that's amazing.
Yes, I do remember it was you were giving a take, and then all of a sudden you just kind of trailed off, and we're like, what is happening? What happened to Rod? Someone was dying. Okay.
Somebody was dying, and I should have jumped up and went to save him because I saw it happening. Because he was sitting down first, and then he started, like, you can see him. He started, like, kind of, and then he got up, and he kind of got up weird. And I was like, what's this dude doing? Because there was only like 5 people in there. It was really early in the day, so there wasn't a lot of people in there. And then he got up, and then everybody kind of looked at him, and then he gave the signal, like put his hands at his neck, like, I'm choking, dude, I'm choking. And then dude got up right next to him and did not panic, Patrick. There was no panic in this dude's eyes. He got up like he had done that Heimlich a million times. He got up, he just casually put his arms around him, went up, boom, and did pump like 3 or 4 times, and then it popped out. And I was like, that was clutch. That was Kobe clutch. He just didn't know. And like I should have got up and helped. And now to this day, I want to be, ready for that moment. If it
I don't
happens
think I'd be
again.
ready for the moment of me choking and knowing to do the choking symbol. I don't even think I have that down. I think that would be too much for me. I think that gang trying to
What's wrong with this
categories
dude?
one word.
That is true. Great point. Because that was because he did. It was clear. It was clear. I was standing probably 12, 15 feet away, probably more than that. And I clearly saw him say, "Hey, I'm choking. Like I'm choking."
Yeah.
And
No, I
then
wouldn't even
saved.
know that. I just stand there for a little bit and then fall over.
and I don't know if Pluckers hooked him up, but I said that they should give him free wings. You don't want anybody dying in your establishment. So if one of your customers saves somebody's life, they should automatically get some free wings or free whatever you sell.
And the other
Hopefully
guy should get
did.
some free lessons on how to chew your food. Come on now.
Also a great advertisement. It was so damn good. I almost died eating them boneless wings, man. I didn't have time to chew. They were so damn good. So I hope they hooked them up. Anyway, but that was out. And I hope they're friends. I hope those guys exchanged information or something. Like he's just saved your life casually at a Pluckers bar. I hope you still talk to him today. You think they plans? You think they like keep in touch?
Oh, that'd be weird if
Wouldn't
you did
you?
that. And then you were like your Facebook friends, and then one of them just has weird beliefs, and you're like, oh.
You don't believe in their political agenda.
It's been such a cool story, but no, this guy's crazy.
That's true. That happens anyway. I see that happens anyway. You see somebody, you're like, oh, I didn't know they believed in that. Interesting. Okay, we've been really close friends for a while, and we're still close.
Remember never to bring that up.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, I won't talk about that subject with them. All right, there you go. Enough random topics there. Okay, we got my man Nick Shuley coming down to talk about Setlist ATX to review the some very talented folks who are going to be in town and where you can go enjoy their talents. We'll get you that coming up here momentarily, and also we'll get you an update on Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott and the contract negotiations going on with his extension, and also Jerry Jones making a quote, saying the quiet part out loud, which he's been doing a lot of lately. That'll be in Rod's Rant. But first, before we get into Setlist ATX, let's get updated, let's get educated and informed on all the top stories of the day with Patrick Davis and the Horn Headlines.
All right, your Horn Headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. In the MLB, the Astros resumed their series with the Reds today, sending August AL Rookie of the Month Spencer Arrighetti to the mound. Astros manager Joe Espada has stated that Kyle Tucker could finally return to play as early as today after being sidelined since June with a broken shin. Then the Rangers tied their series with the Yankees in dramatic fashion with one out in the bottom of the ninth, down by one with the bases loaded. Wyatt Langford became the first Ranger rookie in history to hit a walk-off grand slam, winning the game 7-4. Nathan Eovaldi will try to close out the series with a win for the Rangers tonight. And in the NFL, Trent Williams ended his holdout with the 49ers and Williams agreeing on a restructured $82 million deal that includes $48 million guaranteed and a $25 million signing bonus. Williams will now be the highest paid offensive lineman this season, making over $27 million. And in college football, the Week 2 AP poll was released with Georgia still at number 1, followed by Ohio State, Texas at number 3, Alabama at 4, and Notre Dame jumped up 2 spots to number 5, while Florida State becomes the third team to go from a top 10 preseason team to unranked in the first regular season poll since the rankings expanded to 25 in 1989. And that is your Horn Headlines.
Oh, that ain't good. That's not good at all.
Not good.
Not good at all.
No, I
all
saw people were apparently on the Florida State message boards asking lawyers if they could sue to get their NIL money back.
That's funny. That's funny. True or not, that is hilarious.
That is a great petty.
Can I sue to get my... Oh man, I hope Mac Norvell can, I don't know, outlast this, because I think he's a good coach, but there ain't no doubt he's got to salvage the season somehow. It's going to be tough, especially starting out. Double-digit favorites in both of those games. He ended up losing to unranked opponents in both of those games. Conference opponents, too, to start the season.
Have we looked at the line for their next game?
I don't even know who they play.
I'm just curious if they are now.
Hopefully it's not a running team. If it's a running team, you're in trouble. Well, every team's going to run on you now. Not everybody's going to run on you. The way to beat Florida State is to run on them. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the run. That's a scary situation.
I think they're taking a week off here. I think they
Good
get a week off. I think they need it. Yeah, they don't
fix that
play
rush defense.
They don't play
Oof.
Memphis again. They play Memphis again in a week, so that line is not out yet.
Yeah, it's tough times, man. For say, hey, Longhorn fans, we remember being. I don't know if we were there, kind of where they are right now, but you remember some of those disappointing losses to start season. Maryland, don't get me started. All right, let's talk to my man Nick Shuley of Setlist ATX. We appreciate him joining us as always, taking the time. Nick, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. All right, a couple of questions before we get to the Setlist ATX. So I always got to pick your brain randomly about stuff. I do want to get a score prediction because we don't get to talk to you again until after the Michigan game. So I got to get your score prediction. But first, how are you in life-threatening, life-saving scenarios where you would have to be the person saying, like, can you perform the Heimlich or CPR?
I mean, I technically can. I believe I'm approved. I coach.
certified.
I
Nice.
coach middle school basketball part time sometimes, and you have to get certified in that.
Nice.
So yeah, I did that. I think 2 years ago, a year and a half. Now my confidence level in could I perform it in the correct situation? Pretty below zero. I mean, I'd kind of look around first and look at everybody, be like, anybody else got this? Because I can if we need it, but I really don't want to.
Who wants to draw straws?
Yeah.
That is kind of how you're reluctantly walking over there. Anybody?
Yeah. Any doctors?
Anybody?
Can somebody, a nurse? What do we got? Somebody that watches ER?
Oh, that's funny. Well, you actually are probably more recently, obviously familiar with the techniques and everything. Now, like I said, I think mine was like 4 or 5 years ago, and Patrick can't even tell you last time.
Oh, I was in high school, I'm sure.
Certified training, yeah, because I think you're right. They give you like a certification for it or anything like that. So my man Nick Shuley, if something happens, he's the man you want to look at.
He'll be running the other way. No, I would love to be the person who steps up, but like I said, my confidence level, even though I completed the course, is still not high. I don't know that I could practice it.
If somebody saved your life in a random Pluckers one day, a stranger, would you be friends with them? Like after that, would you become close friends with the person that saved your life as a stranger?
I think I'd want to be. I don't know that they'd want to be with you, right? Like it's kind of an imbalanced relationship, right? Like you can never pay them back. Every meal you go to, you're like, "Can I pay, man? Can I pay?" And I just feel like the imbalance in that could cause some issues.
Well, and two, you're just constantly around him, and then like you trip a little bit, and the guy's like, "You okay?"
Yeah.
You're like, "Yeah, I can
Stop helping."
Look, one time,
I almost died once, and you saved my life, and you never let me forget it.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way, Nick. But you're right. That's not a good power balance in a relationship.
It's not, man.
Kind,
and we know when there's imbalance, it does not work.
Yeah, that's a lot of guilt. That's a lot of guilt on the other side there. All right. Let me get right to. Oh, you know what? Let's give you a score prediction first on Texas, Michigan.
Yeah, man.
Can we do that and then get Setlist ATX? I want to get your thoughts about this matchup. And it seems like everybody's more confident today than they were the previous day. Seems like the closer we get to the matchup, Longhorn fans are growing more and more confident.
Yeah, well, man, I'm the opposite. I get real confident at the start of the week and then start psyching myself out of it as the week goes on. And I saw one of the big Michigan podcasts. I got served a clip, at about 4 a.m. while I was doom scrolling on TikTok. And one of the Michigan podcasts, the guy was like, "I'm confident we win this game if we can score 14 points." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, well, "If you shut down the run and Quinn without his play action and blah, 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 blah." And he's like, "And I think we're going to hold UT to 10 points. And man, we haven't been held to 10 points under Sark since the TCU game in 2022.
Yep, that's where I was going.
Like last year, our lowest point total was 26. So I'm like, dang, these Michigan fans are confident in their defense. And mind you, a defense that has, I think, it's either 2 or 3 returning starters. Granted, they're very good and they have a lot of guys that can play. But man, they are confident in that defense, especially when Fresno State was moving the ball. So I still feel pretty good about it. My prediction is I'm going 27-13 Texas. Okay. But yeah. I was higher at the start of the week, and if you keep asking me as the days go on, it'll probably get a little closer and a little more close. But I always have to make sure and get a couple field goals in there for Bird Auburn, So.
Yeah, Bird Auburn fan club. No, I'm with you. I'm right around there too, Nick. I'm right around there. I'm a little shy of 30. I'm a little reluctant to go to 30, but I do think Texas wins by double digits. They covered the spread. I think the spread's 7.5 right now.
I think it's either going to be kind of a grueling game or else Texas is going to silence it right away. That's kind of my thought. Is if Texas comes out and scores on a couple drives, that thing could be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, because Michigan is not built.
They can't pass like that.
they can't pass like anything.
Yeah.
They can't.
Period.
I mean, it really. No, they averaged. Oh no, seriously, Davis Warren. I know we'll get to the Settlers ATX. He averaged 4.7 yards per attempt versus 4.7 yards per attempt versus Fresno State.
That's the we have to pass but don't want to stat line right there. It's like, yeah, we got to do it. So throw a short little screen. Do it. Just to keep the route short.
Keep the route short. Yeah, because their go-to target is Colston Loveland. He's
the real deal. He's the real deal.
Yes, he'll be the first tight end drafted. Probably be a first rounder. He had 80 receptions for 87 yards. The rest of the team had 8 receptions for 34 yards.
Wow.
And his average depth of target was just 6 yards. He ain't going down. He's like, hey, right here. He's turning around. He just runs 5 yards and turns around. It's a very simplistic, rudimentary passing game. So that's what I think Texas. I don't know. I think Texas it matches up well with Texas.
I agree.
If they can just, obviously hold up well against the run.
Yeah, okay, they pass because they have to, not because they want to.
Amen. And which is why you stop the run and you want to make them have to beat you throwing the football because they don't want to do it and their playbook shrinks. Significant shrinkage. If you stop the run.
Well done.
All right. There you go. All right. Let's get to Settlers ATX. My man Nick Shuley. We always start on Wednesday, I believe, Hump Day. So what we got for Settlers ATX today?
Yeah, big one tonight. Legendary Wu-Tang Clan members Jizza and Inspector Deck will be out. Jizza, who I think is the best lyricist of the entire group, he will be there. He's fantastic. Also over at Mohawk, Jim Ward, who, for those that don't know, he was the co-founder of At the Drive-In and the founder of Sparta. So he's been in some really good bands doing some solo. And then really, really cool up-and-coming kind of pop-punk band, but I don't even know how to describe them. It's this new wave of weird punk stuff that's happening, but they're called Bill Murray, but it's one word, Bilmuri, which I love. I'm sure they got sued or something. Actually, I don't think Bill Murray would sue him. I'm sure Bill Murray would be like, yeah, sure, use my name. He seems cool. But they'll be along with 408 at Mohawk. And then tomorrow's a big one, the ACL Hall of Fame 50th anniversary concert featuring Garth Brooks will be happening at ACL Live. That's a big one. I will not be going to that because I don't think I can afford those tickets. I'm sure they're.
I was gonna say that's a bucket list thing right there to see Garth Brooks in person. Even if you don't like country, you're like, I'll go see Garth.
He's a showman. Yeah, he's fantastic. I've only seen him once, and it was like a solo thing he did. I think it was for ACL, and he was fantastic. Absolutely phenomenal performer. I was very impressed. And then Friday, one of Austin's best hip hop artists, Chief Cleopatra, she'll be over at Antone's. And then Bob Marley's legendary band, the Wailers, will be over at Hotspot.
The original Wailers?
I think there's a couple members.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Somebody won the name in a battle. I
got you.
think it's like the bassist who was one of the founders. I think I'm sure there's a couple guys. I won't sell them short, but hey,
like the Temptations these days.
It's exactly. How are they only 22 years old? No,
exactly.
And then San Benito, Texas's own 9-year overnight sensation, Charlie Crockett, will be playing at the Moody Amphitheater, and Charlie's a phenomenal artist, and he has blown up recently, and props to him. He deserves it. And then a cool surf punk band over at Parrish called The Frights. And then Austin indie rocker Somersault over at Scoot Inn, as well as the Red Dirt Country Kings will be doing the first of 2 nights, Turnpike Troubadours over at Whitewater. And then Saturday will be the second show, as well as
got kind of a cult following.
Oh man, they're huge. And I will say it, like there's a lot can be said about the band. They've had some issues, but that the lead singer Evan Felker is one of the best songwriters in that entire scene. He is phenomenal, just an absolute.
My wife loves them.
He's a poet, a lyricist. He's very impressive. So we're seeing, and then over at the Moody Center on Saturday, one of my favorite bands from high school, Incubus, who I saw at Liberty Lunch way back in the day on one of their first tours. I love that band. I'm just old now. I'm sure most of their audiences as well. And then the 19th year of Bat Fest will be happening over on the Congress Bridge, featuring Ghostland Observatory and Pecos and the Rooftops and more. And then Sunday, another huge. This is my favorite part about doing this is I learn a lot about Latin artists because I know who's big because they're all playing the Moody Center. And so Marco Antonio Solis will be at the Moody Center. Some of the artists I really like. Some I need a little more time. I'm going to need a little more time with Marco, but we'll work on that. And then Austin's own Cosmic Cowboy Jonathan Terrell will be playing over at Sagebrush with Dennis O'Donnell. And then Monday, Novo Amor, who are some indie folk rockers. They'll be over at Scoot Inn. And then Tuesday, this one's huge, over at the Germania Amphitheater out at Coda. Green Day will be there with Rancid and the Linda Lindas. And Rancid is one of I actually love the venue at Coda. I just hate the logistics of getting there, parking, that piece of it. But Rancid is one of the bands in the world that could get me to go out there. I will likely be out there for that show. We'll see. I'm also lazy, so who knows if that happens? But I'm gonna try it. And then over at Stubbs, Vista Ridge High School's own and former Texas A&M student, and he just got off his game day performance for the Notre Dame Texas A&M game. Dylan Gossett will be at Stubbs, and he is a rising star in the country music scene. And he'll be I think that concert will be packed. He is blown up, and it was cool to see him on game day. And I think he's he should be on your lists of ones to watch. He's kind of got that Zach Bryan thing.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that that he had performed on game day. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
he was.
time.
He played kind of. I can't remember when it was, and a buddy of mine runs his label here that's called Big Loud, and I texted him and he sent me a picture from right behind the performance. I was like, dang, man, that's cool. He was backstage at game day.
Yeah, man, gotta be a VIP to be backstage at game day. My man Nick Shuley is a VIP, and that's why we appreciate him coming on with us. Hey, thank you, Nick, for the time, brother. We appreciate it. And we'll say your score prediction. We say 27-13.
27-13.
All right. Hopefully that's the case. I hope a lot of Longhorn fans are wishing that would be the case. All right, Nick. Talk to you next week, brother. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
All right, that is Nick Shuley. We appreciate him coming on with us for Setlist ATX. Next segment, so we'll just we'll get out here a little bit early. And next segment, we'll cram everything into Rod's rant. We'll do our Cowboys discussion. We'll hear from. We'll read the quote from Jerry Jones. We'll also give you the update on the Dak Prescott contract negotiations. Throw in a lot of other NFL news, notes, and nuggets, and continue our breakdown of Texas, Michigan. All that and more right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis. Coming back on the Horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get to some Cowboys discussion and Rod around the day. So here's the update on the Dak Prescott contract negotiations. I was a little surprised to see this update from, I believe it's Diana Rossini of The Athletic. She was on a podcast, the Scoop City podcast, where she dropped this little nugget about what may be one of the main points of contention in the contract negotiations between Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. She says, quote, the holdup at this point, from what I understand, is about the years the Cowboys are willing to commit to. While it's assumed that Dak is going to be paid at the top of the market, the Dallas Cowboys are aware of that. It's, do they want to put themselves in a position contractually that will keep Dak in Dallas longer than 2, 3, 4 years? And that's what Dak is looking for. He's looking for a long-term commitment from Dallas. So the holdup here is really the belief from the Dallas Cowboys. This is a guy who's won a lot of games, but is that enough? Winning's not enough for Jerry Jones. We know this. They want to do more. They don't want to just be the team that wins a lot of games. They want to be the team that can play in the Super Bowl. Now, remember earlier this year, we talked about this offseason. We talked about reports, and I believe it was came from NFL Network, that there could be a shorter deal on the table, like a very short-term deal, literally a 2-year fully guaranteed deal, boom, and the Cowboys and Dak just get a deal done for the time being, and then both can look toward more other options for long-term, for a long-term stability, whether that be together or whether that be elsewhere. And there was talk about that, and apparently Dak Prescott is not on board with that. I assume Dak wanted to get paid here, hit free agency again while he's still semi in his prime as a quarterback. He's 31 now. You can hit free agency again one more time, or at least get another contract deal done if he signs a short-term deal while he's still somewhat, like I said, close to his prime, probably toward the end of his prime then. And that is not the case based on this report. Based on this report, he wants long-term stability. He's a father now. I assume he's gonna get married soon and probably pump out some more kids, something like that. So I think he's thinking long-term, and the long-term macro approach for him is, I want to forever be known as the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And although in the quarterback circle of life, oftentimes we will see an all-time great quarterback, or a great quarterback. I'm not saying Dak's all-time great, but just a great quarterback in their career elsewhere, but they're always known as, like Joe Montana, a 49er, or Tom Brady known as, a Patriot. Even though they went elsewhere, they can be known for being that synonymous with that team. I think he just wants to be synonymous with the Dallas Cowboys because he understands the added benefits of it. And, ultimately for him, he doesn't want to end his career, or at least have the tail end of his career anywhere else. And that way he can become, I talk about quarterbacks becoming game executives, right? Where Aaron Rodgers is one of those, where they basically take their offense with them. It's their offense. It's not a coordinator's offense that comes in. Tom Brady's offense was his offense. It wasn't Bill O'Brien's. It wasn't Josh McDaniels. It was his offense. He took it with him to Tampa Bay. Remember, they were running Tom Brady's offense. He was actually even bringing in his own personnel. That's my offense. And I think, there are other, as Aaron Rodgers is an example. He took his offense from Green Bay. He needed a curator of that offense. That's Nathaniel Hackett. I think Jalen Hurts is trying to have that approach in Philadelphia because he's tired of the, musical chairs of coordinators and play callers that he's had to deal with throughout his college and NFL career. So I think different, once you reach a certain level in your quarterback career, you want to have ownership almost of the offense. I think, and that also, once a team invests in you and you become a game executive to that extent, they do ask, even as a courtesy, your opinion on drafts and who you like in the draft. And maybe like the Texans, you draft Tank Dell because CJ Stroud told you he really liked him, or you draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire if you're the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes said he really liked him. Maybe you take that into account, or maybe you don't. But I think that's part of, if a team's going to have that kind of investment, you to be the face of the franchise going forward and to be the guy going forward. I want the long-term stability. I want the long-term commitment so that we can go through several iterations here of, supporting cast and even potentially coaches. And yet I am still the main, focus. Like, it's built around me, catered to me. And I think that's kind of what Dak wants.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a certain line too of, where people go, well, if you sign that short-term deal and bet on yourself, and then if you win a Super Bowl, like, what, make an extra $2 million a year? Like, he's not going to make any more money. Even if he wins the next 2 Super Bowls and 2-year contract wins the next 2 Super Bowls, he make a little bit more, but he, whatever the market goes to, he makes 70 then. So you're like, but you're not really he's already the top. He's there.
He's already the top.
He's already at the top of that list. So if you're Dak, why am I risking everything? Why am I risking my financial future on one cheap shot to my leg and it's all gone? Or I can go ahead and get financial security now while I'm at the top of the game that I've worked and I bet on myself before and I've kept doing this and I got there.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want it. Now I want that piece. And I get, you can put me in that Kirk Cousins, well, we'll fully guarantee it, but Kirk Cousins just got 45 this year. And 45 is great for Kirk Cousins, but at the same part, he goes, I understand that every 2-year contract I sign is going to be less and less and less because I'm going to be a mercenary from here on out. I'm no longer ever going to be a franchise quarterback. I'm only going to be a mercenary. If I sign once I'm 33, 34, I become mercenary mode. Mm-hmm. So at 31, I can still be a franchise quarterback, and I'll be 31 going into free agency next season because he turned 31 in June or July, I believe, late July. So after the season, when free agency begins and he starts calling everybody, he'll be 31 years old, and he can say, give me a 6-year contract. I can play 6 years for your team, and we'll build you, and we can go do something. I think there's something to be said of, I've already bet on myself. Why would it do me any good to wait 2 more years? And yes, I could possibly go get it, but I'm only getting another 2-year deal. So if I sign 2, I'm only getting 2 more. I'm not getting 4 the next time.
No.
So I still don't have that security.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point.
So I get where he says, I get it. I can go get 5, 6 in the offseason, though. Again, everything I'm asking you for is market value that I will get in the offseason, whether you give it to me or not. And so he doesn't have to play ball into Jerry's world of, well, I want the best, but also if you win Super Bowls, then I want you to come back and still give us that team-friendly deal. But if you don't win Super Bowls, then you need to go. I get that that's what Jerry, but if you want that, it's good. You don't want to get married. That's fine, Jerry. If you don't want to be married, don't be married. You don't have to be. But if the girl wants to get married, then you have to pick or choose.
Yeah, you can't be with her. If she wants to be married, trust me, I know. If she wants to be married and you want to be with her, well, you get married. Like that's the deal. Like, or you can let the girl go and then just choose to go find somebody else, which, hey, is a viable option, but you may not find the one that you really want to be with again.
Yeah.
You may not. You take that chance.
And if Jerry Jones is true in his, I'm still going to be doing this for a long time, then go restart. I can tell you should worry. Because again, we'll say, and again, I think Washington is a much worse run franchise, and maybe they're better now, but in the run they had up until they just got bought. But that Kirk Cousins, they let Kirk Cousins go. Mm-hmm. And they have had a starting quarterback for the last 7 years has been different every single year on week 1. Mm-hmm. And that's multiple drafted guys. That's Dwayne Haskins, who they drafted. That's Sam Howell, who they drafted. And now Jaden Daniels, who they drafted. It's 3 draft picks that they got, that they went for. And so it's, there's that possibility too.
You want to be in quarterback hell?
Now maybe Shedeur gets 6 wins. He does an okay season, but he doesn't necessarily, but he drops to, you think you can get him at 8 maybe, and you can trade up to like 5 to 8 in that range and trade up to get him. But if he's number 2,
now, you're going to have to trade.
If he's number 2, then I don't know how you're getting him.
Because right now it's projected Carson back in. You might get Quinn, but right now if Quinn keep playing like this, they all going in the top 7, 8 picks. That's just the way quarterback and the quarterback position is, the value of it.
And you're with this team is going to be another 12-win team.
I can't see them starting over a quarterback. You're talking about the team that's drafted the fewest amount of quarterbacks in the NFL in the last 25 years. They've Forrest Gump their way into good quarterbacks. They're the luckiest team in the NFL when it comes to quarterback. They had an undrafted free agent at Tony Romo who became a franchise quarterback. How often does that happen? What are we talking about? Kurt Warner, Warren Moon. That don't happen. It just doesn't happen a lot. A franchise quarterback, a guy who was an undrafted free agent, and then Dak, who was your third string quarterback, who you drafted, just honestly out of it was just sheer circumstance. He failed to you, and ended up being your franchise quarterback after Romo gets hurt, after Kellen Moore gets hurt because he was behind Kellen Moore too, and then he ends up flourishing and thriving and then becoming your franchise quarterback. But that was lucky. You wanted Connor, you wanted Paxton Lynch, you wanted Connor Cook. That was a point where you were infatuated with Johnny Manziel.
Yep.
You could have easily been in quarterback hell, but you lucked out on picking quarterbacks. And the reason I say it's luck is because if you had been drafting more quarterbacks, then I know your organizational habit and strategy is no, we're going to draft a quarterback every few years, and then hopefully we'll hit on one. That wasn't your strategy at all. That was a strategy of a lot of other teams, but not the strategy of the Cowboys. So they lucked out. And now when they should draft more quarterbacks, when they draft them, they actually do pretty good, or when they bring them in. But I can't imagine this organization trying to go find a franchise quarterback.
But if you're Jerry, don't you feel I've gotten lucky twice? Why not roll the dice again?
Oh man, yeah, but that is like I said, I can't even imagine. Do you have the time for that, Jerry?
And this
time is not on your side.
The reality of it for me is if you're gonna do that, then trade Dak and get your first and get all the things you can get back.
There you go.
And get value for some of these pieces so you can go up and get your next guy. The hard part is doing it with no extra assets. That's where it becomes really hard to not get stuck, having to pick the leftovers. It's because you're unless you are really bad or unless you get a lot of assets and can trade back up, it's just you're kind of stuck. And then you get your rookie quarterback. Yeah. And so you get your rookie. You trade up. You trade, 3 first and 3 seconds to get Shedeur at number 2. Okay, now you got to go back in, and Shedeur needs an offensive line because you're not paying your guys because you want to go draft. But you haven't draft. You can't draft them. You don't have first and second round picks. He needs more wide receivers. You can't draft them. You don't have first round pick. You just can't rebuild the team. How the Cowboys rebuild the team. They trade everybody for one guy. That's how they build this team. So they got to change it how they build in free agency and everything else if you do that, which is not what they do.
They're a homegrown team. They believe in building and almost entirely through the draft.
So
which is not a bad way to.
And look, if Jerry Jones wants to say, I don't believe that Dak Prescott is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and so I'm going to move on because I don't have any more time to waste not winning Super Bowls. And if he wants to get a 6-year deal, I can't do that. I'm fine with that. I prefer you trade him than just let him walk away and just lose the value. And you're still paying him $40 million next year in cap restructures. So he's still on the cap next year. So it's not like you can go out and sign somebody else and bring him in. So you have to basically take a rookie in there or take a really low cost quarterback. It feels like you're really gambling on that. Well, we've gotten lucky before, so we'll get lucky again.
You're still paying probably the highest cost for a third string quarterback.
Yeah.
Too. Just talking about the quarterback position.
But no, do you believe he's going to be a starting quarterback next year?
No way. I think the best you can hope for is that he can become a capable backup right now. Like that's the goal for him. He's not an option for you to negotiate. Not a negotiating leverage for you versus Dak. Matter of fact, I think it hurts you. Anything watching him throw 5. What do you have? 5. What many picks he throw? Is it 5 picks?
5 picks, right?
5 picks. Good Lord.
And he fumbled it twice. Didn't lose them.
But I was like 5 picks, 2 fumbles. That's
he
what I was
didn't lose the
about.
fumbles, but he lost 2 fumbles.
Oh, man.
Or he fumbled it twice. Didn't lose them.
Yeah, so I think it's just he'll get the deal done. We talked about this like with the CeeDee Lamb thing too, and it ended up getting done. At this point, I think it's gonna get done. There's no way Jerry Jones is moving on from Dak. It'll get done. It may not be as long as Dak would like it. I think Dak probably wants maybe a 5-year deal somewhere around there. He probably wants a 5-year deal.
I mean, if you want 5,
if you're Dak,
if you want 5, you want 6.
That's what I'm saying. He probably maybe wants a 6-year deal. Maybe he wants a 6-year deal. And to finish, you say he's 31, so he'll be going 37, 38 then. That'll be perfect for him. And that's the end of your career. I mean, that's kind of guy, he'd retire then.
Exactly.
He wouldn't be a Tom Brady or he's not going to try to play.
No,
he's
also had some major injuries in his career.
Major injuries.
We know he's walking around with a boot already all the time.
Yeah. I think just knowing Dak, he's been through some things in his life, family wise. I think Dak would just hang it up like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
and I would, like you said, start to pursue those other opportunities that are synonymous with him being, or at least that would be opportunities for him being synonymous with being the Cowboys starting quarterback. Like he's the guy. And that's what people see. And they see Dak Prescott, they see Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, if you put that, if we put him in 6 years, so that'd be like 2030.
Yeah.
So if he basically plays through the 2030 season, and you'd be from 2016 to 2030.
So that's a whole generation of fans that know you as a Cowboys starting quarterback.
So yeah, I mean that would get you in a special place. It would not surprise me at this point if Dak's at 6, it would not surprise me that this goes to the offseason. It wouldn't surprise me at this point.
Yeah, because I don't want Dak for 6. I like Dak.
Exactly. But
I don't want him for 6 years. I like Dak. I don't want him for 6 years.
I believe Jerry Jones could fully believe that he could re-sign Dak at the end of the season, even if he doesn't sign him before. Which I don't know if that's true or not, but I could believe Jerry Jones believes I'll put the money in front of him at the end of the season. If he gets me where I want to go, I'll give it to him.
Okay. If you get a Super Bowl or get to the NFC title game, I guess that's the ultimate goal. Yeah, I mean, will he get those years? I don't know if he get those years. I still don't. If he's going 6 years, I'm like, nah, I'm not. We're not going 6 years. 4 years, we can do that. Let's do it. I'm down for the 4, but I would not go 6. No.
And that depends.
Right.
If he wins the Super Bowl, he's getting 6. If he makes
Super Bowl, you get everything.
Yeah,
you get everything.
Like,
you get everything you want. Yeah, Super Bowl. But do we think he's gonna win the Super Bowl?
No. No.
So that's what kind of Jerry Jones is kind of banging on. Like, listen,
but I don't think it's his fault. Look. By the way, I don't know what quarterback in Patrick Mahomes maybe could come into the Dallas.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
and no other quarterback.
That's
Josh
why Jerry Jones
ain't winning one. Joe Burrow ain't winning one there. No, Lamar Jackson ain't winning one there. So I'm just gonna say I would say Patrick Mahomes. If you had one quarterback that could win a Super Bowl in Dallas the way this team's built, I don't know who else could.
Oh, I agree with you. I think for Jerry Jones, he's just banking on it. It's the ultimate gamble for Jerry. He's like, listen, I'm not gonna pay you. I'm not gonna give you what you want. Essentially, and he is hinting or implying that it's because you have not proven yourself in the playoffs.
Yeah,
which we all know that number is 2-5. And he's basically, if this goes through the season, it is Jerry basically saying, no, man. If you get past the divisional round, which no quarterback has done in like 20-something years around here, and you get to the NFC title game and get me there, I will pay you. I will pay you. I will handsomely give you everything you want. I will pay you and give you what you want, because I think the money, we know the money's already settled. That's top of the market money. But I will give you your years. I think he's like, well, and maybe it's Super Bowl. He's saying, I will give you years. But I think he's saying, if you get me past the divisional round, then we start talking about you. Matter of fact, right now I'm at 2 years. You get me past the divisional round, I'll go to 4. You get me past the NFC title game, I'll give you 6. I'll give you 10. I'll give you Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
If you get, so I bet that's kind of that's his gamble. He's like, oh no, Dak, right now where you are, I want you for 2. Right now where you are, I want you for 2. Give me past the division round, I want you for 4. Give me past the NFC title game. Yeah, we in 6th in, baby. I'll put it right in front of you. 6, but that's top of the market money.
I don't think we're getting anywhere close to what Dak wants and what Dak's gonna sign, because he knows he can go get at least 5 in the offseason.
Yeah, he's betting on himself. And then when it gets to the free agent market, if it does get there, let's say Dak doesn't get you past the divisional round, then the Cowboys will have to deal with the elevated price they're going to pay. But I don't think Jerry Jones really cares about that. But then Dak, I think then Jerry Jones is banking on, well, Dak, if you want to be here for 6, you want to be here. Yeah. Right? If you want to be here for 6, if you didn't want to be here for 6, if you didn't want to be here, you wouldn't be asking me for 6 years. Damn it.
Yeah.
All right. So you really want to be here. So I already got leverage when you hit the free agent market, because you want to be here. You want to be the quarterback of the Cowboys.
Hey, until somebody tells you what it feels like to be treated right again.
I know, just saying. But you know how that is, man. He wants to be a Cowboy. You know he wants to be a Cowboy. He don't want to go play for the Steelers. He don't want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
No,
He don't want to be a Las Vegas Raider.
No, he's going he's going to New York City.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's sexy right there.
Yeah.
Out of spite. He's like, no, what? No, I'm going to Giants. I can play you twice a year, and then I can talk trash. Now that would be a different Dak. That'd be
Dan
dark
Quinn and Washington, Kellen Moore in Philadelphia, and Dak Prescott in New York.
That'd be the most incestuous.
The ghost of Jerry Jones haunting him every week.
Did you kill Jerry Jones? He's already dead.
No, the ghost of Jerry. No, I'm saying like in Christmas Story.
Oh, okay. I was like, hold on, when did you kill Jerry Jones? Now he's just haunting the division.
Ghosts that are haunting him. The ghosts that are haunting him.
I got you. There you go. Okay.
The ghosts of past coaches and past quarterbacks.
Yeah. There you go. I like that. All right. Sorry, I interpreted it wrong. All right. I was like, that got pretty dark there.
No.
Dak leaves, Jerry dies. It's like, oh man, what else he got for?
No.
All right. I was gonna give you that Jerry Jones quote. But we'll give it to, if we have time, we'll give it to you on the other side. We got Who Said That coming up on the other side. That's when Patrick plays pieces of audio from the sports world, sometimes beyond the sports world. And based on the context clues or familiarity of the voice, you have to identify who said that. We'll play that on the other side right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Coming back on the horn. Welcome back to the Rodcast. One Artist Wednesday, and the artist that we are featuring on One Artist Wednesday, well, a group, the Bee Gees. And I got to tell you, it's one thing about the music, though. I will say this: the vibe of the Bee Gees music, it keeps you like moving.
Yeah, it's dancing
like
music.
It does. It's just hard not to move. That's why I've been moving all morning long with all.
It's got that beat that's just pounding at you.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just compelling you. It's like, no, you got to move. You can't just stand still. Listen to the beat.
So this song is aptly titled called "You Should Be Dancing."
Yeah. It's like, even if you just sometimes just like subtle movements, I'm like, but I just feel like you can't listen to that music and not be moving around. No, good stuff. I love it. My man Patrick doing a great job with the musically themed days of the week on a One Artist Wednesday. He also does a great job with the topics for the big fat poll of the day. Oftentimes they are great conversation starters. And this one, he wants to know simply about the Texas-Michigan matchup. How many rushing yards will Texas have against Michigan? And the leader right now in the voting, 100 to 150, which is a 61% of you voting said that you believe that Texas will have between 100 and 150 rushing yards versus Michigan. The next, I think, next most popular option is a 0 to 100 yards. 21% of you said you think Texas will have between 0 to 100 yards. Yeah, most Longhorn fans don't believe they're going to go into Michigan and just push Michigan around and dominate them on the ground. But I think Texas, like I said, I think Texas makes a track meet, not a fist fight. And the running game is more of a fist fight. You want to make it a track meet. If it's a fist fight, that's advantageous to Michigan. They want it to be a fist fight. What Michigan can't do is keep up with Texas at a track meet. That just ain't Big Ten culture.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Good stuff there. Go check it out. Go vote at the Horn ATX on X. Also, we'll get into who said that. That's when Patrick plays pieces of audio from the sports world, sometimes beyond the sports world. And then based on the context clues or familiarity of the voice, you have to identify who said that.
The pomp and circumstance of this game is going to be off the charts. And we're going to have a complete party before the game because of the two brands that are going to be doing battle. But what's happened at Texas is what happened in Athens. Kirby Smart built Alabama in Athens. Steve Sarkisian is building Alabama in Austin.
Don't do it.
They're not only going to win, they're going to whip them.
Whoa.
Texas is that much faster. They've shown they're physical. They held Colorado State to less than 200 yards. It's not going to be a close game. They can
Take that, Sportsline.
Now you get to break the internet.
I was going to say, yeah.
This isn't a knock on. Michigan has been decimated by attrition. We all know that.
Yeah.
So Davis Warren, heck, he's a walk-on. I'm pulling for Davis Warren.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that this is a mismatch, and the way Sark has built them with the mindset is exactly what Kirby has done. They borrowed it from the GOAT, and now it's being laid out.
Ooh, that's a nice take right there. That's Rick Neuheisel, right?
Yeah, Rick Neuheisel there.
That's who? Okay. Yeah, that namesake?
Namesake Rick Neuheisel there.
I like Rick Neuheisel. Hell, one of the 5 coaches that I narrowed my choices down to coming out of high school was
I like him
Rick
more
Neuheisel
after that
in
take.
Colorado. That's a great take. It really is. I like it. I like what he said. Kirby Smart built Alabama in Athens, and Sark's building Alabama in Austin. I love it. I love it. That's a money take right there from Rick Neuheisel. All right, that makes me feel good. Yeah, he thinks Texas is going to bludgeon Michigan on the road, make a statement to the nation. All right, we'll talk more about that matchup, of course, tomorrow. Thank you, Patrick, for all you do. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll talk about it right here on the Rodcast. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Until next time, hook 'em and peace.